Hello, everyone, and welcome to Casual Rage 32. We're getting there. We're getting close to a year's worth of streams, which is pretty awesome. I hope we're all doing well. There's been a lot of Star Wars news this week, and we're going to talk a lot about all of that stuff. But let's quickly go over the panel and see who we've got. We've got Tim, Open Airlock Policy. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing excellent this week. How are you?
I'm doing very well, and we've just had somebody jump in the back room.
Hello.
We'll quickly say hello to him. Hello, Lethal.
G'day. How we doing, everyone? Oh, look at this.
Good.
Rhino paid.
Yeah, I paid. I think I got enough super chats to be able to cover at least a month of StreamYard.
Nice.
Thank you, everyone out there. So quickly going around. Tim, what have you been up to?
I've been working a lot, but at night I have been working on my script. We canceled Star Trek on Tuesday night. I did my expanded university stream last night, but it wasn't that long. So I worked on my script again. And again, this is like a 40-minute little documentary on something I think everyone's going to find interesting. So I can't wait to get it out. But it's in the very early stages. The script's like at 3,000 words, but then I've got to do editing and photos and recording and all that stuff. So it's quite a ways away, but I think it's going to be worth it. So can't wait to do it. Thank you.
No worries. And Mara, of course. Hello. How are you?
Hello. Good to be here. I'll be hanging out for just a little bit because it's about 10:10 my time right now.
Oh, you're Eastern.
Yep.
I see. That's all right. You can hang around for a little bit. We'll get into the female scene topic in the Mandalorian for you before you do go. But what have you been up to? You've been putting videos out?
Not really. I've had no time to get videos out this past week because it's been a lot of it was taking care of student teaching stuff for next semester. So I had to go back and forth doing like the registration papers and everything and getting like everything sorted. I did a live stream yesterday, which I had to go to private because apparently you can upload a Monty Python sketch onto YouTube, but you can't show it on stream.
So was it a strike or was it just a...
It was a claim. It was a claim, but basically, yeah, it was a claim. And like basically like something triggered the copyright senses on YouTube or something like that. So it just like cut my stream. I was close to wrapping up anyway, so it wasn't, I guess, too bad. But then like the next day I get an email like, oh, so-and-so put a copyright claim on this live stream. It's the one from yesterday. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's private anyway. You're not going to make any money off of jerk off. So
yeah. Well, everyone go and help Mara out and go and, I don't know, watch her videos, subscribe, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, watch the informative videos I've put out like over the past 3 weeks.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I went and looked at my second last video, which sort of got a pretty good amount of views quite quickly. And it was just going over that Not My Star Wars video from last week's Casual Rage. I clipped that out and pretty much showed that, and that was doing really well. And I woke up one morning and the likes had definitely dropped. Like they'd got like likes had been taken away. And then I go into my back screen and it's got like a 52 likes or something. And then you see it on YouTube, it's only got like 35 or something like that. And I just, it's weird shit going on. Fuck you, YouTube.
Yeah.
Lethal, how you doing, my friend?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing good. What have you been up to this week?
I've started doing videos again, and YouTube hates it when you take a break, so they're all like bombing, except for one, which did all right. But it's all part of the process. Just got to get back into it and, get back on the grind.
Yes, I'm glad you've been doing videos again.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And of course, Tim. Of course, Greg. Why do I always get Greg's name mixed up with like Jeff or something like that? Greg, Lost Jedi 22. My God, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. I'm Greg. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too. Fuck. What have you been up to this week?
Oh, not much. Lethal will appreciate this. I did my taxes.
Of course you did.
I went to Walmart, and I'm wearing trouser pants.
Did you get a cheeseburger?
Nice.
And I had a cheeseburger.
Now that's
And he had a cheeseburger.
So I covered all the bases.
You didn't have a hot dog?
No, I didn't have a hot dog though.
No.
Hot dog.
I like the way he says that.
Hot dog.
Went to the baseball game and I bought myself a hot dog. All right. All right, let's see who we've got here in the chat. We've got Brian King. We've got Trey Courtney, of course. We've got Blake, and I know Blake. I can never hide from you. You'll always be there to trigger me in some way, shape, or form. We've got Teresa. Thank you for being here, Teresa. We've got Jock Nerdy, Tim in the chat as well. We've got Corey. Let's see. Just quickly go through. Metalong, Soul Assassin. Thank you all for being here. Jesse. Thank you. Why, thank you. They love me. They really love me. And Tim Price with a $5 Australian. Spend wisely. Well, that would probably get spent on StreamYards, to be honest. So, yeah,
wise.
Thank you for that. I don't have any clips yet, but I will be getting clips to thank people for super chats and all of that sort of thing. So again, thank you for that super chat. Let's get into the first topic. While we've got Mara here, we'll get into this. Let me share my screen real quick. So many more things on StreamYard you can do now. What are you laughing at, Tim?
Oh, are they talking about the scene where they're kind of raiding the Imperial cruiser?
The Wham and Power.
Yeah. I know in one of the videos I did, I just showed a photo of them coming off Slave One or whatever the hell they were coming off of. I don't remember. And I said something like really fast. Even if you watch it in one speed, I said something like Charlie's Angel girl power scene really fast like that. Because that's exactly what it reminded me of. They're all just coming down like boo, 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 just shooting everywhere. And
well, it reminded me of the female power scene from Endgame.
Yeah, that too.
It really did. Mm-hmm. For me, them come running down the ramp and they're just blasting away, not taking any cover or anything like that. It's just easy. Just stroll through this Imperial cruiser. I mean, how many troops have to man an Imperial cruiser? Now, I understand that they're probably on a bit of a skeleton crew, but does anyone here know how many troops can be on a?
At least on a normal cruiser, it would have been well enough that there's no way they would have been able to do that.
Several hundred,
right? They might have gone through like the first maybe one or two rooms before they were all taken out.
Yeah.
It would be several hundred, yeah.
If they had have just ran through, I mean, if you watch the end of my video, I've got the clown music that Lethal always uses.
Yes, I love that.
That I put over the top of that scene, and it's literally, it is a joke. It really is a joke. But apparently Katee Sackhoff explains why that scene or the female-driven scenes worked. So I think it's even talking about, I think it's more implying the final scene where they're running through the cruiser, but I think she's also talking about, in the bar with Boba Fett and all of that. Well, it says scenes, so I'm not too sure. Anyway, Tim, you've got this article up, correct?
Yeah. Do you want me to go ahead and share it as I read it?
Share it as you read it, because I took it from the direct, but Bounding Into Comics covered this as well, and Tim will share that one. Let me get out of my screen here.
I think her quote, and if we weren't living during a time, we weren't living in a society, we were so programmed to see identity politics everywhere, then her saying that, it's not because we were women, it's just because we were the best for the job. Well, no one would take that any other way. They're just the best for the job. It doesn't matter what their sex is.
Mm-hmm.
But now you can't help but feel that no, you were picked. That scene was driven around the fact that you were women, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, this is the point that I made in my video, is that we'll go through the article, but my point was she's seeing it from a point of view of, it was never about having women. It was just these were the right people for the job and all this kind of stuff. And it was never sort of mentioned in the background that, women, power, all of this kind of thing. I completely disagree with her, right? In the fact that that's all we hear out of Hollywood. All we hear out of Hollywood is we want more female directors in Star Wars. We want this, we want that. It's just, to me, it seems like these people are so disattached from reality and what actually really happens that it doesn't matter who you are in Hollywood, whether or not you're at the top or at the bottom of Hollywood. Yeah. They all seem to think, I don't know, it's a contradiction. Greg, what are your thoughts quickly?
Here's I don't buy it because they went out of their way to write a reason in for the Mandalorian, the main character Din Djarin, to stay aboard the ship.
Yep.
And the reason is stupid and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. In addition to the fact that they wrote out the male Mandalorian that was in the previous episode, second or third episode of the season, that was with the two other girls. So take those two things combined. I don't buy for 1 second that the people making the show didn't intend for this to be not just a right characters for the job thing, but specifically a badass chick moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because they went through convoluted steps. Like, why did the Mandalorian have to stay aboard the ship?
Yeah, well, especially if he was supposed to,
and that was supposed to be the decoy.
Yes, so he could run up and.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they killed everyone in that base, so nobody's going to see him come out with them. They come out together.
They split off from them after clearing that bay.
Correct.
There's no reason why.
Right.
that they couldn't, because all the cameras are still functional. So if anybody on the bridge actually was still watching the cameras 10 minutes later, mm-hmm. they would have seen him just walk off the ship.
Well, and even if they did that to, lead the troops in this direction, beyond the bay.
Aren't accurate at all, period.
What?
Sorry.
Oh, she's sending a voice text. But I do the same thing. So anyway, unless they were trying to lead them in this direction and then he went off this way, but that still doesn't make sense because he could have used some help and 2 or 3 girls, or I'm sorry, women, could have led the troops this direction and he still could have taken someone else with him for help. But no, let him go off on his own on this dangerous task and let them all go off with the women power. Yep. And plus, Greg, to your point, fundamentally, the people behind the show don't believe in meritocracy and don't believe in the best people for the job. So that's bullshit.
Just quickly, we've got another monster. Yes, it is a little weird. It's weird putting ads on streams and videos and things like that. Christopher, first live stream, raging Rhino. Yes, I will be raging. Trust me. We're talking enough Star Wars today that I'm sure my blood will boil at one point. We've also got Stunning and Brave Megatron and Jedi Padawan. Okay, so I watched Lethal. Do you have any thoughts on this just quickly?
Well, I haven't seen the show at all, but I think what Katee's doing some of it. I think what she's getting at is she means well because she's I don't necessarily think she's an old school actress, but she's done fucking blanking on it, Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
So she's no stranger to being a chick in sci-fi, so it's really no big deal for her. So I get her point on that, but
yeah,
when it comes to the scene itself, I'm not really too sure. I think she means well.
I think she means well too in what she's saying, but to me it does come across as a little again, just clueless is probably the best word.
Naive, yeah.
Naive, well, do you think she actually deeply cares about the character?
I think she I think she
do you think she's up to date with the character's lore and background and shit?
But did you voice the character?
It depends on who she I feel like she's the kind of person that might at least know more than the average actor about their characters that they play.
That's
a bit like
she voiced her character.
Didn't you voice the character
in the cartoons, right?
That's right. So she knows.
Yeah, but just reading lines and shit off a paper or whatever doesn't necessarily mean that she knows what the character's up to and
I get that.
Speculate on her own story. I would say forward, all that type of stuff.
Compared to your typical Star Wars current day actor or actress, I would say she's probably very informed comparatively.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of getting at.
Why don't we see what Baby Girl said? How about that?
I just want to make one more point. I watched Yellow Flash's video in regards to this. He covered this as well. And he was saying how it was really good, how it really destroys their narrative in Hollywood in regards to that. But that's where I sort of have to disagree again, because she's saying that in Hollywood, that's what it was like. That's not what it's like. Whereas all we're hearing is that's what it's like. So again, I don't really know how to take it. So yeah. Anyway, go on, Tim. Let's read through this.
All right, and it fucks their narrative. In other words,
yeah.
So the headline: Katee Sackhoff exposes her lack of knowledge about Bo-Katan when asked about the character's future in The Mandalorian, by John F. Trent, the founder of Bounding Into Comics. The Mandalorian actress Katee Sackhoff exposed that she doesn't really know a lot about her character Bo-Katan when she was asked about the character's future in The Mandalorian. Katee Sackhoff did a lengthy interview with Looper where she talked about everything from her YouTube channel, and I hate when celebrities are on YouTube, by the way, her time on Battlestar Galactica to The Mandalorian. At one point in the interview, she was asked, "Can you say anything about what's in store for Bo-Katan going forward?" She answered, "I honestly wish that I could tell you I knew something. I really don't know." Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to comment on that?
What, that she doesn't know about her character?
I'm not surprised.
Sort of next in store. I'm not surprised either. I mean, Jon Favreau, I think we've been shown and heard enough evidence to say that they've been making this up as they go along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think that it's a secret that I understand that a lot of people think that The Mandalorian was, all plotted out and everything, but we've heard evidence to say otherwise.
The show itself has given us evidence to show otherwise. For example, specifically in season 1 at the end, the planet they're on, Navarro, they say that all the troops are gone. That was the last of them. And then in the next season, the Imperials have a fully operational, fully staffed base on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
That's not planned. That's retconned.
Yes. Correct.
Because they're making the shit up as they go.
Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me. That's all right. Go on. Continue.
It's pretty ironic where I paused it on this video here, given the topic. I know where we ended, and that's all that I have. I can only use my imagination and hope that we see some pretty cool stuff, but I have no idea, she added. As for what she imagines for Bo-Katan's future, she would elaborate when she was asked, "Where would you like to see her go?" Sackhoff responded, "Oh my gosh, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because she started in a place that she wasn't necessarily on the right side of things. She thought she was. I think she's always had her people in mind." She continued, "But her growth to get to where she's at has been quite dramatic. When you are the second born and your sister is ruling, you never dream that you're going to have to take this job because the idea that she would no longer be with us is unthinkable. And then that happens." So she seems like she knows a little bit. She knows
her character.
Yeah. So that's cool. And she was the same on BSG. She really knew that version of the Starbuck character, because I was into the show and I watched interviews at the time and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan might have brought this up, Ryan Kinnell, a few weeks ago, about how back then when that Battlestar show was out, I do remember some people complaining that she and Boomer were race swapped, but it wasn't that big of a deal because the show happened and a lot of people liked that show, right? But now, like you said toward the beginning, we're kind of hypersensitive to this.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you see something like this, you initially react because we've kind of been conditioned to think that anytime they race swap or do anything, it's it's a SJW thing, but it probably is in this case. But at the same time, I think we're a little hypersensitive to it.
No, we absolutely are.
Yeah.
Any little thing sets off like a nuclear explosion. Like Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, I liked him as Ra's al Ghul, but that's a race swap.
Right. It is, yeah.
Well, I agree with this. I agree that the creators again, we've got evidence that the creators don't know what's happening going forward. They just keep sort of making it up as they go.
I think the big difference is that a lot of them now, they do it to be like, oh, look at us. Look how cool we are. Look what we did. We care.
Yeah.
Pat ourselves on the back.
It's just one big virtue signal now. It's like they really do not give a shit about what they're preaching. They just want the brownie points for it.
Yeah.
Before we continue any further, Sackhoff's comments here do not align with the events that actually took place in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Let's back up. Bo-Katan was part of the Death Watch, insurgency led by Pre Vizsla and her sister, Duchess Satine Kryze. How do you pronounce that name? I never saw these episodes.
I pronounce it
Kryze, okay.
Yeah.
In fact, she was one of Vizsla's top lieutenants in the insurgency. That insurgency eventually teamed up with Maul and his Shadow Collective and was able to depose and imprison Duchess Satine during a coup. However, Pre Vizsla double-crossed Maul and had him and his brother thrown into prison while he assumed control of Mandalore. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're saying she was wrong when she said this shit up here?
Wait, hold on. What she said when you're the second born.
You never dream you're going to have to take this job.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't even know what she means by job.
Yeah, and then that happens.
Because I know, like, when she says that happens, I assume she's talking about her sister being killed by Maul.
Killed, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
But she never wanted to rule necessarily. I mean, she aligned herself with Death Watch. She didn't want to align herself with her sister's politics, essentially. So, I don't know. I don't know. That's all I can say. I don't know.
A little askew is like, if you read her statement on their own, you kind of assume that she's just this princess that was like second in line for the throne, and she got thrust to the throne or something. And it's like, that's not really her backstory. Like, she didn't just suddenly get involved. She's been involved or was involved to a high degree for the whole time. It's like she didn't expect to become a leader, but like, she wasn't off minding her own business and then suddenly got thrust into the limelight. Like, she was part of the insurgency.
Yeah.
Like, she's a part of it.
Yeah. His rule would be short-lived as Maul and his brother, Savage Opress, escaped. Maul would then challenge Vizsla to a duel where he easily disarmed the Mandalorian and killed him. At this point, Bo-Katan and her followers turn on Maul, claiming they will never be ruled by an outsider. After splitting with Maul, Bo-Katan would then break her sister out of prison and sought the aid of Obi-Wan Kenobi. However, Maul would eventually recapture Satine and execute her in front of Kenobi. The idea that she wasn't dreaming of ruling is completely far-fetched, and the idea that her sister wouldn't be there being unthinkable is completely absurd, given she was actively rebelling against her sister. So yeah, John's basically just exposing her a little bit here, I guess, that she did know what she was talking about. She sounded like she did, right? And a layman like me on this show, because I probably watched the first 2 seasons, maybe. I think this is second season, though, but I don't remember it. So point is, he's definitely exposing her.
This whole arc right here is 5th season, I believe.
Oh, it's 5th? Okay, no wonder I don't know it then.
Yeah, I think I've only seen this one time, something like maybe twice. I can't really remember most of it either. I remember the fight. I remember the Maul fight.
I just remember seeing Opress and a lot of the promotional stuff that they had out at the time, and thinking, gosh, that's, I don't know. I didn't want Maul to come back. I'm with Stieg on that. It's like, come on.
Man,
He's
literally
dead.
too angry to die. And he had a third brother, well, a second brother as well.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
killed during the trials. Or
literally
something
because
like
the characters look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He had a second brother that was killed to anger Savage.
What color was he?
He was yellow as well.
Oh, is that how you pronounce that? Savage? It's not
Savage.
Savage oppressed.
Yeah, it's literally spelled like savage, but it's pronounced Savage.
I think he stabs someone with his horns as well.
He does.
He did, oh god, she was a female Jedi with Obi-Wan. She was on the council.
Yeah.
Adi-Dahlia or something like that.
Yeah, with the headdress thing. Yeah.
Is that how he stabs with his horns?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Does she die?
Yeah, she dies.
On the Clone Wars?
He spears her. He spears her with his
Wow.
horns. Basically, like traps her against a wrecked ship or something, and she dies as a result.
Holy shit!
And like he spars with Dooku and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the way he looked in that show.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I hope I'm not wrong because I've been saying this for years. Is Maul the only Sith to like full on cry and beg for mercy at the end?
Yeah. As far as
he's the only one that I've ever seen, but he
You mean former Sith, right?
Yeah, he begs, just cries and begs Sidious to stop electrocuting him with Force lightning.
But see, realistically, when Sidious found, if you're going based on the old rule of two, the original law for the rule of two, as soon as Sidious found out that Maul had his own little faction going over here and everything, he should have killed both of them because he still had Dooku at that time as his apprentice. And there can be only two.
But then again, he fucked over Plagueis.
What do you mean?
He trained
because he was the apprentice to Plagueis, and he was training Maul.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because they were going to use Maul as basically the muscle.
Mm.
Yeah,
so they're going to be two, except we got three. Don't tell anyone. Shh.
Yeah.
Well, one of the ways, the way I always understood is, one of the ways you betray your master if you're a Sith.
Yeah, and you have one ready.
The first step towards like overthrowing him is taking on your own apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
But Plagueis knew about this.
You saw what's her name do it against Bane, right? She tried to, before she went straight on and attacked Bane or went after Bane, she got her basically. She was looking for and found her apprentice. I forget the name. It's been a while since I read the book, but like
Cognis.
That's the normal thing because you wouldn't want to be the only one left. You know what I mean? Like the first thing you do is take an apprentice, and then you would overthrow.
Yeah, but Plagueis was cool with it. Plagueis was like, "Nah, I'm number one. Like this, it all ends with me." So he was just like, "Yeah, who gives a fuck."
Christopher, I've talked about this a fair bit in regards to Ahsoka. I used to like Ahsoka. I used to think that her arc was fine. And yes, I do understand that the animated series does portray Jedi more as superheroes in regards to the distances they can jump and things like that. But despite all of that, I think she was fine. She's been made so important to the rest of the Star Wars galaxy that she just seems to be everywhere in every part of it. Now, I actually think that she should have died at Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's not going to die at Order 66 and she's going to go into hiding and then she's found by Vader in that Rebels season 2, yes, she should have died at the hands of Vader. And that would have been a good poetry moment for her story arc. And it would have been, everyone still would have loved her and all of this kind of thing. It's kind of like saying, we all love Vader. Everybody loves Vader, or everybody loves Anakin in some way, shape, or form. The fact that he's dead and no longer can be a part of the Star Wars sort of going forward, unless you get a Force ghost of him here and there, is because he was a well set up character. Everybody loves this character and the way that they go through and they can identify with the character, or however you want to say it. So yes, Ahsoka, way too overused. And she should have. There's two moments that she should have died at. I personally think it should have been Order 66, but Again,
hey, Rhino, I gotta jump off.
I think it should have been
if you're still
the day
live,
after conception with the morning after pill.
I think the best part of her should have tripped down her mum's legs. But I got to jump off. If you're still live in a bit, I'll jump back on and we'll talk about Attack on Titan because Rhino's been watching Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I watched the first 6 episodes and fuck, if you're not watching it, go and watch it. But yeah, anyway, we'll talk
Rhino's
about that.
like having like a weird moment. He's like, oh, what the fuck? It's not woke. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. It's like he's detoxing himself.
Well, the funny thing is that it actually is a little woke, but in saying that, it's kind of like...
Hold on. What's woke about it?
Well, during the training and everything, Mikasa, she's
There's
like...
an explanation for that.
No.
I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him.
Okay, that's fine. Well, at this point in time, but again, all I was going to say is from what I've seen, it just fits and it works. And it's like I was sort of saying the other day, we're also hypersensitive to all the woke shit that goes on, that even when you see something that fits, that's just like, you know, Wonder Woman in Justice League talking to that little girl saying that she can be whatever she wants to be, we're all like, that was fucking woke. No, it's not necessarily like that. I see that in this show. It fits. It works. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's the way the characters are.
If you're going to say that Mikasa is like that, then you have to apply that to Anakin. But all right, I'll talk to you all later.
Later, dude.
Bye.
There is an explanation for that. It's a ways down, but it makes sense. Okay. It actually makes sense. It's a little over the top, but then when you hear the explanation and you think back to how she is. You're watching her now, you're like, oh, okay, fine, that works.
Mm-hmm.
They subvert your woke assumptions, Rhino.
Yeah. What you can say about the Japanese is basically the Asian entertainment market in general is they don't put up with bullshit like that. So if they do anything like this, they'll do it in a way where it'll make sense.
Yeah.
Without the identity politics.
Yeah. Do you want me to continue here?
Yeah, we might go back to Attack on Titan, but let's continue with this
is that what you guys were talking about? Okay.
Yeah, I want to get back to this because there's some points that I want to make.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to what the actual point of the article is. So, nevertheless, Sackhoff continued. So, how do you take a person who is trained as a warrior, who never thought that they would have to lead nor wanted to lead, and get them to a place where they have to lead because it's for the people? And I find that to be so interesting because I think she is a warrior at heart. That's who she is. That's who she's always been, and we haven't seen that part of her yet. I want to see why she thinks she's the right ruler and how far she will go and what that looks like, she continued. Sackhoff concluded the question saying, just because you think you're right and just because you think you're right, the right person to rule, that doesn't mean you actually are. So I want to see that struggle because if she really does care about her people, she may not be the right person. I think there are so many different places to go, so we'll have to see what those guys have in their minds. So here's the thing, I don't give a fuck about the 3rd season of that show if it ever comes to fruition, but if it's a thing between her and Din Djarin, you have to know that what she's talking about here, if she realizes, she's not the right person for the job and he is, do you think they're actually going to let that happen because it's a woman? No, they're not going to.
No. But the thing that I look at with this is I agree with her on the fact that, yes, it would be nice to have a story where we know what the character's motivations are. Isn't that what a story is? Isn't that what they're supposed to show us? Essentially why these characters are making these decisions and doing these things and wanting to rule Mandalore or whatever the case may be. Of course, that's what we want to see. But when we see it and it's done in a way that is just it just paves the way. It's so easy. It's not a natural progression of the story, basically. And that's what I see with some of these characters. You know, I mentioned in my video as well that all the season 2 of The Mandalorian was just basically a backdoor pilot for all these other shows.
Yeah.
And how many of them are going to be female-driven shows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got fucking what's her name saying they're going to do a female-centric Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Leslie Headland, former fucking what's his name? You know, it's all. Anyway, continue. I want to get to the bit where she actually.
I hope that never happens. I just hope it doesn't. As I previously mentioned.
Well, sorry, Tim. Go on, Greg. You're going to say something.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, this idea that she hints at, it kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. Now, I've never served in the military, so I don't have firsthand knowledge. But this idea that, like, when you grow up in a military resistance movement or just regular military, like, you're a warrior and therefore not a leader. Mara, you served. Do they teach leadership skills in the military?
How do I put this delicately? Yes, but that does not exactly mean you're not going to be serving under fucking morons.
Well, that's true in any leadership position in any organization.
Yeah, the way it works with active duty, at least on the active duty side, if you have a college degree, you automatically go through officer training.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the notion that leadership can't come from the ranks of the warrior class, I think is kind of insulting.
Yeah,
great
leadership can come from anywhere.
Class.
Yeah, if you display proper motivation, like motivation, leadership, strategic, tactical skills, and like from anywhere can become you become a leader. Yeah. So I don't know where that quote's coming from.
And her character herself wasn't just a grunt. She was a leader in that movement. So this idea like, oh, I was raised a warrior, so I don't know anything about leadership. You're like, you led your people in battle. That takes leadership skills. You know, especially if you want to be successful. You know, you got to get your troops to follow you. So you got to be a motivator.
You have to be at least somewhat tactically sound, so you win the battle. You can't make idiot decisions on the battlefield and things like that. So, I think she fundamentally doesn't understand the background of her own character, in the sense that, she grew up as part of Death Watch or whatever in a leadership position. So she was already a natural leader or a trained leader. She wasn't just thrust into the leadership role from the ranks of, it's not some the fry cook became CEO of Walmart.
Mm.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Or, it just, leadership can come from those ranks, but they build themselves up and they acquire those skills as they rank up through the company, hopefully. Sometimes companies and organizations, you fail upwards.
Yeah. But, wasn't she second in command to Pre Vizsla?
I thought she was high ranking. She was already a leader. She wasn't the final authority, but she was a leader for fuck's sake.
That's the next paragraph,
she was actually sort of second in command. Just quickly, Daniel James, for $31, he gets to say this. Is that showing on, Cants? Just going on? I don't know.
I think he's saying what's going on.
Oh, cunts.
Yeah. Going on.
What's going on, cunts? Yeah, I can't read slang words, Daniel. Just popping in during my lunch break to say g'day. And Victoria's trash, #Pineapple Gang, and #cancel Disney Plus. Thank you, Daniel. I'm actually going to find a clip specifically just for Daniel's super chats. And we also had Crazy Cat Guy with a super sticker. I don't know what it is. Let me quickly go and have a look.
It's a corgi saying hiya.
Hiya. Yes. Hello, Crazy Cat Guy. Thank you very much for those super chats. I appreciate it. Continue.
Yeah, that's him. The next paragraph actually addresses that. As I previously mentioned, Bo-Katan was already a leader in the Death Watch. She was Vizsla's second in command. Not only that, but she was a leader of the Night Owls, an elite commando unit within Death Watch. We've seen her be a warrior quite a bit. After Maul killed Vizsla, it was Bo-Katan leading the loyalist Mandalorians in the civil war against him. Maul would eventually be captured by Palpatine, but he would eventually escape and make plans to retake Mandalore. In fact, he still controlled Planet. Through Prime Minister Almec, who was a puppet. So
I swear I didn't read any of this in advance. But it seems like that's twice now. The next paragraph has kind of gone on my sentiments.
Yeah. Maybe you did and you forgot and it's all subconscious.
No, I didn't.
I'm hoping this actually gets into the bits that... Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, while in the process of making his return to Mandalore, Bo-Katan was leading the Night Owls and hunting him down. She would eventually track Maul to Mandalore, where she sought Republic aid to enforce a lockdown that would ensure that Maul's forces would be defeated and he would not be able to escape. Kryz, with her loyalist Mandalorians and Republic forces led by Ahsoka Tano and Commander Rex, invaded the planet. They were able to capture Maul and remove Prime Minister Almec. Bo-Katan would eventually become the planet's regent. However, her reign would be short-lived when the Republic reorganized itself as a galactic empire and began a military occupation of Mandalore. Clan Saxon would side with the Empire, forcing Bo-Katan to abdicate her leadership role. When did they reveal all that shit?
That was in season
7, wasn't it?
That was... Oh, yeah, season 7. That was in season 7.
Okay,
That's the Disney season, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like the final thing, and Mandalore was basically them taking... Yeah.
I didn't even watch it, so...
Me neither.
Yeah,
Bo-Katan...
Go on.
Tino.
Bo-Katan
would return to power after she is gifted the Darksaber by Sabine Wren and receives the support of a number of clans, including Vizsla, Rook, Ren, and Eldar. She would also receive the support of Fen Rao, the last surviving Mandalorian protector. Her return to power did not come immediately. In fact, she initially rejected the Darksaber from Sabine, believing she did not deserve to lead the Mandalorians after she failed at being regent. Meaning, what Sackhoff wants to see for Bo-Katan was already being done in Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars. So yeah, maybe she's not up to speed.
This whole like she's gonna be but she can't be thing, like she's already gone
through
that.
This douchebag. It's absolutely galling how someone who voiced the character for years doesn't actually know the character's story. Why would she want to retread themes and character development that have already been explored? What would actually be interesting for Bo-Katan's story is seeing her rule Mandalore and rebuild the civilization after much of it was wiped out in the Great Purge. Another interesting aspect would be how she deals with the Children of the Watch, which is bullshit, who have radically different view, a radically different view of what it means to be Mandalorian than what she does. And that's all made up bullshit because they came up with their own thing in season 1 and then they found out, oh no, it's already established. They take their helmets off. So they made that stupid shit up. That line on that boat where she says all that was just so forced and so expository. It was terrible. However, this is current day Lucasfilm, and they don't know a good story if it hit them in the face. I love John. So they will more than likely just retread what Bo-Katan has already gone through. And like Sackhoff will pretend it hadn't happened already. Remember, for Lucasfilm, canon is whatever you want it to be. And here's this stupid bullshit from Matt Martin. I'm of the mind that you can consider anything you want canon if it makes you happy. For the most part, it still works. But there are some contradictions with other storytelling if you really care. Yeah. It's all fake anyway, so you can choose to accept whatever you want as part of the story.
Right. Well, here's the thing about retreading that. Like, they're going to have to, because I don't think anybody's going to want to see a story that takes place on Mandalore about like her being an administrator. Like it could be like the Mandalorian West Wing Mandalorian edition. Like they want to see warrior Mandalorians. So they're going to have to keep going through this thing where like she loses power, gets power, loses power, gets power, so she always has that battle because that's the shtick with the Mandalorians. Again, I don't see like if you want to center a show around administering a planet, that could be done. I mean, they've certainly done dramas like that before. West Wing, while being a garbage show in my opinion, was pretty successful.
I like some
that's
of the
not
characters.
what people aren't gonna want to see. Like, what's Mandalorian life like? They want to see fucking pew pew and jetpacks.
But the other thing too, the reason why I feel like they've got to go back and retread this stuff is because the normies out there aren't people that are going to watch the animated stuff to catch up on the backstory of Bo-Katan and what she went through during the Clone Wars era. You know what I mean? So when it comes to Mandalorian, you've essentially got to try and tell a history lesson that, yes, the ones that have watched it already do know, but the ones that haven't watched it, and that's where you're going to start to get a lot of filler episodes and stuff like that so that the normies actually understand, again, the motivations of these characters. But in Disney's storytelling, do you think that they're even going to do that or do it right? If they try and tell a history lesson, they then go and fuck something up like the colors of lightsabers. You know what I mean? It's just like they find a way to retcon something that they've done.
I just want to see live action helicopter lightsabers. That's what I want to see.
Is that what you want to
Bring
say?
that to the fucking live. Bring that to live action, please.
And Rhino, I found the correct article this time. So
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
that wasn't the right one. My
It
bad.
wasn't the right one. We're going through Katee Sackhoff.
But hey, that was fun.
No. Well,
At
look, it
least
was
we know
fun.
more about her
Well,
now.
some background as far as like her knowledge and
Yeah.
and what she brings to the table for the character.
Katee
I was wondering
Sackhoff.
whether or not it was the right one because we're not getting
it's
up
like-
to quotes and things that I'm like, what?
It's like when you're driving somewhere and you're like, I don't feel like I'm on the right road. And then you look at the map, it's like, oh shit, I should have made a left at Albuquerque, you know?
Yeah. If you hit the train tracks, you've gone too far.
Anyway, Katee
let's get into
Sackhoff.
the article.
Yeah, Katee Sackhoff attempts to explain why the all-female scene in The Mandalorian works, again by John F. Trent. The Mandalorian act, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. In a lengthy interview with Looper, where she discusses her YouTube channel, this must be from the same interview, as well as Battlestar Galactica, Sackhoff is asked, when you were cast on Battlestar, there was a pretty vocal group of fans that was pretty pissed about Starbuck being a woman. That seemed to change once the show came out, but looking at the season finale of The Mandalorian, and it's you and Mercedes, that's the wrestler, and Gina and Ming-Na Wen driving almost all the action, and people didn't or almost didn't notice. As a sci-fi action star, have you seen the attitude towards women in that space change? I should say.
Okay, hold on. Just Jock Nerdy, thank you so much. $50 super chat. So I'm still waiting for my 2 Lucasfilm promotions.
Yeah.
What? I don't understand. What?
Joke, Rhino.
Oh. See, I take things way too literally. Haha. Love you guys. Hashtag Disney Lucasfilm.
That was the saddest haha.
Yeah, haha. Haha, haha. Thank you, Jock Nerdy. And YouTube censored the real word. Yes, of course they did, because they're assholes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And sorry I didn't get your joke. I'm a boomer. I'm an idiot at heart. It's so funny, just quickly, when they spoke about Starbuck in here, I read it like Starbucks, like it's just the way my brain worked.
Right.
And she said the reason why it worked with Starbucks, and I'm like, well, the reason why it worked with Starbucks is because when you go into Starbucks and you ask for coffee, they give you coffee. Unlike when you go to Lucasfilm and you ask for Star Wars and they give you poop, like fucking Jock Nerdy like to describe it there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if you're going to do a race or gender swap, like, you really got to make it compelling and good, and then people will be on board with it.
Well, and like I said earlier, they did with her.
Right, and that's why it's different than doing race swaps and some other things where the sole purpose of doing it is just to virtue signal how great you are for having done it.
Yeah.
Without any kind of thought. Be like, when they came up with the character, be like, okay, we're going to do a female Starbuck. What does that change for the character? How can we tell the stories differently? Like they did it right. Like you can do race swaps and do it right and gender swaps with some characters, but some characters are fundamentally male, and you can't really do like it works with some things, but not everything, and you got to do it right. It can't be just a superficial. We're just going to cast this person differently, just to say we did.
Hey, Rhino, you know why they call it a gender swap?
Why?
Because sex swap would have other implications. But yeah, Mercedes is Sasha Banks. Her real name is Mercedes something, cousin of Snoop Doggy Dogg, by the way. So anyway, as a sci-fi action star, have you seen the attitude towards women in that space change? And then before, they reveal her answer, John says, first off, this question is laughable. Din Djarin actually has 2 huge fight sequences in the final episode. The first against a Dark Trooper, punch, and the second against Moff Gideon. Not to mention the final combat sequence is Luke Skywalker going ham on the Dark Troopers. What does that mean?
Ham?
Going ham?
I mean, it's basically just going all out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that term.
Yeah.
But the all-female fire squad was driving almost all the action. Nevertheless, Sackhoff responded, absolutely. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, one of the reasons why Starbuck worked was that we never mentioned the fact that she was a woman. She was just a well-rounded, interesting, creative character in a world that was fun to watch. She just happened to be a woman. And there's a picture of that Charlie's Angels scene. So...
yeah, this leads into where
they didn't constantly backpat themselves for having changed the character to a woman. That helps with your audience quite a bit.
Well, the other thing too is, do you really think that the actors and everything sit there and go, yeah, we're going to race swap, blah, blah, blah? No. Their fucking agents go up to them and go, you've got this role, you're playing this part, blah, 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 blah. It's the studios and the people in the writer's room and everything that are sitting there going, yeah, we're going to make sure that we make this person a woman. We need to make sure that we make this person trans. We need to make sure that we make this person gay. We need to make sure that we've got a black actor. We need to make sure that we've got a female actor. Like, they're the ones. The actors don't fucking, like, surely they see it because we can see it, right? But they're not. I don't think that they're the ones sitting there going, or at least I don't think Katee Sackhoff is sitting there going, "Yes, women empowerment moment." You know what I mean? Maybe some of the other women were. Maybe the person that plays May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Fennec Shand, that's her name. I keep fucking anyway. Maybe she thinks that way. We know that Cara Dune. We know that what's her name, Gina Carano, doesn't think that way. But even though she doesn't think that way, it doesn't make her character fucking a good character. Her character's a fucking shit-ass written character. I have to repeat that because fucking... Oh, my God, Gina Carano. Anyway.
Blue White and Lisa Roberts say HAMS, it's a acronym for Heart as a Mother. And then Soul Assassin says... Tim's not down with the lingo the kids are using. You know why? Because this generation is the most uncool generation in 100 years.
It is.
So they're just chodes. I mean,
I would hate to be a part of this generation. Imagine going 30 years in the future, being a part of this generation, and looking back at yourself.
Right.
I'd have to kill myself. Self-deletion. I would have to.
Oh man, gosh.
Anyway,
all right.
Continue.
Sackhoff would then transition to the Mandalorian. The reason you just took a drink. The reason why that scene at the end of the Mandalorian worked was that they didn't talk about the fact that they were women. They didn't have to. They were just the best people for the job, and they were there, and they did it, and they succeeded. We didn't stop to be like, female power, woohoo! You take the lead because you're the prettiest. You know what I mean? This was just the crew that was available. Oh god!
Bull fucking shit!
Wait,
the entire thing is framed with that way. I'm sorry, bullshit.
You take the lead because you're the prettiest. Who says that?
Yeah.
Hey,
if you
got a good base, you'll be the bullet catcher.
If you swap the women in this scene with men, it is still a garbage scene. Mm-hmm. It's still a really poorly written. If this is woke, right, or if this isn't woke, no. If it is woke, then I don't know what the term is when it's men doing this stuff, but it would be whatever that term is. It's just I don't understand.
Cheesy. I mean, it's just it's this kind of lame like hero. It's not a pose because it's in motion, but it's the equivalent of like the hero pose.
Yeah.
But has Katee also not heard Kathleen Kennedy wearing her T-shirt, "The Force is female"? Or has she not heard Kathleen Kennedy saying about Rian Johnson at Star Wars Celebration that he writes strong female characters? Or
and they're going to keep doing it.
Heard that we need more female directors directing Star Wars. What the fuck? Where does this come from? This is what I don't understand. How can a person who lives in that environment not see what me here in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, can blatantly see?
And let's not forget that this action sequence was it was staged. It was absolutely intentional to give that like here comes the badass chicks moment. That was deliberate and also just really shit choreographed.
Yep. Yeah.
They were like half walking, like so the reason they're there, the reason they have to do what they're doing is they're supposed to storm and they need to take control of this hangar bay. Mm-hmm. Meaning they need to like bust out of that ship like a bat out of hell and kick some fucking ass quick before they get pinned down or somebody just decides like, hey, let's lock the doors to the rest of the ship so they're pinned in the hangar bay. They need to act very swiftly, very brutally and get the job done. And instead we get this like very casual looking, slow, kind of boring sequence. It wasn't even like, if your purpose is to have a badass moment, like it failed because it really wasn't badass. It was just poorly done.
Yeah.
Like, watch that scene again if you dare, but I mean it's not good.
Yeah. I'll bet you this pilot is
none of their choreography in this episode was good.
No. But even still, if you go back to a couple of episodes prior where Din Djarin meets Bo-Katan for the first time and they go and infiltrate that Imperial shuttle or whatever it is, that's just as bad. That's written just as bad, especially that last bit where he's running down the hallway, blast, 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 blast.
Well, after he hangs in the background, like walking in
doing
after the battle, for like the entire way.
Yeah. And
the only thing that he does affirmatively is like get shot to shit and like accidentally fumble grenades forward.
Yeah.
Instead of lobbing, I could have thrown that grenade from where he was standing from cover and made it the distance that he needed to throw it.
Well, and it doesn't even have to go all the way in the air too. Like you can slide these things on the floor as well.
That's right.
As soon as they hit the floor, they don't stick.
Yep.
It was just.
And
the action sequences in general in The Mandalorian, whoever's choreographing them is not good at their job.
Yeah. Whoever's been choreographing all of Star Wars since Disney took over isn't doing a fucking good job.
Didn't he learn anything from those marauders in that one episode on the skiffs and stuff? I said, didn't he learn anything from those marauders on the skiffs in that one episode? You know, they. I don't know.
That was a later.
Jack of all casuals asked, "What did you miss?" Yeah. You missed us reading the wrong article for about half an hour.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun. It was a good. It was
still
timer.
Informative and enlightening.
It was.
Oh yeah, Kara dodging blaster. I thought it was the other character dodging.
No,
blaster
it was Fennec Shan that dodged the.
Yeah,
blaster.
I thought so. Yeah.
It
And I
just
hated
does this,
like this right here.
move.
The stupid jamming thing was so annoying.
But not only did it get jammed, but it gets
Yeah.
jammed, and then she runs at the troops and uses that as a weapon. This heavy as fucking light machine gun thing. Fucking so dumb.
Why are they treating blaster bolts like regular bullets?
Like
They
it's
don't
jammed?
jam. They don't
for
jam.
audience familiarity, but like they really did make Cara Dune's character seem kind of like a dumb fucking idiot in this particular episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, she was like,
I agree.
kind of incompetent, and like her gun jams, and like she was clumsy. It was just, not to say that nothing against Gina Carano, all you Gina fans, but like that character was not done well in this episode, like at all. It gets overlooked because of the ending of this episode, but like watch it again. She's clumsy. She's like, it just doesn't seem very fluid or coordinated.
Well, yeah, and Luke's gun jams in the trash compactor, but they're in like water and all that, so I guess that makes sense. He even says the word, but in this, it gets jammed because, what did they run it through sand or something? I don't know.
Because that's an action movie trope.
Oh, and she's, a chick, and she can fix her own damn weapon, She don't need no man.
Like a sword or like, what is she like? She
at least
them, or she like starts beating people with it. Or
at least they gave her that reason, because remember the episode, the first one where she comes back this season and she takes out all those Aqualish before they're about to like chop her rat up and eat it. She
What happened?
Yeah, she used
she
was fighting them just because when she clearly had a blaster on her hip.
She just she was putting on the wrestling moves and stuff because that's cool, and it's like, but that's stupid.
But also too, what happened to the Mandalorian chick that was down in those catacombs or whatever?
She's still there, just hanging out. She's cooking marshmallows on the forge fire now.
I just wanted to play this for everyone. And of course it jumps out.
The clown music.
Here you go. Why aren't they shooting?
Oh man, that's bad. Okay.
So she does a little barrel roll there.
They're just so absolutely supremely confident that they can just mow through everybody.
Dodge.
That they're not even like taking any precautions. They're just out in the open, walking casually. It's like, there's people behind us.
He didn't shoot. He just ran at them.
Yeah.
My gun's jammed. Oh, let me just beat him up now. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, while the other people are taking cover. Like, she's just going to go there and beat him with, like, how about you fall back and let your partners there with the guns at work shoot the bad guys?
Where's Gideon?
Okay.
It's a good thing that door was left open the entire time, too, because they can't close the door on an Imperial ship. Ever. There's just no remote control. They can do everything from the bridge except for lock a fucking door.
So bad.
Jesus. Just leave the wide open blast doors. Then they close them so that the idiot robots can just punch them for no reason. Just sit there. Boom. Well, that's the only thing that these ultra villainous robot killing machines can do is straightforward jab.
Rock'em sock'em
jab,
robot.
Jab. That's their only move.
Well,
if you could sidestep them, you beat them.
That's what I was going to say. So the way that these troops behaved is the same way that those Dark Troopers behaved. Like, a lot of them just stand there for Luke, and then one at a time he takes them. It was dumb. It didn't even look good.
Like, that's... Bring up horrible memories of this thing. But yeah, that's the problem with the show. Like, the action sequences aren't convincing. They're bad.
Just quickly, Mara's got to disappear on us. Thank you, Mara, for coming by. Appreciate all your input all the time and all your help and support. Thank you. Let everyone know where they can find you and what you've got coming up. Excuse me.
Well, you can find me. normally I would say my channel is Jade Shadow. Normally I would say Jade Shadow underneath my name, but I changed it to my D&D name because I wasn't able to do that last night. But that is my channel name, Jade Shadow. And I can't say as far as videos what I have coming up because it depends on if I find anything tomorrow that's I feel like making a video on to talk about. But definitely look for me on Talk Nerdy to Us. It'll be on Steph's new channel this Saturday instead of mine, so that way she gets the watch time.
Awesome.
So
that's pretty cool.
So basically, we'll be rotating back and forth periodically. So at least this week, it'll be on her channel.
Cool.
So right there.
Well, thank you again, Mara. Everyone, go and subscribe to Mara. Go and subscribe to Steph, My Nerdy Home, and give her some watch time as well. And thank you again.
You're welcome. Good night.
Have a good night.
When this semester's over, I won't be as tired, but
awesome.
Talk to you all later.
Bye.
See ya.
And then there was 3.
Yeah, we'll get Steph's new channel. I don't think it's the one I have in my text file. We'll get it later. So continuing here. However, the only reason why the all-female scene is even in the show is because the writers decided to write out the third Mandalorian, Axe Woves, played by Simon Cassianades, who previously appeared alongside Sackhoff's Bo-Katan in Chapter 11, The Heiress. He's nowhere to be found in the final episode of season 2. They don't even explain,
No, where he's gone. What's happened to him.
So good, good call out there. They're consistent with what we've been saying since the day the fucking episode aired. And I'm glad we made all those streams on Casual Rage, because you can go back and it's the record that we sat there and said a lot of this stuff. Not only did they write off Cassianides, I don't know how to pronounce it, character without an explanation, but they also send Din Djarin on a separate mission within Gideon's ship. In fact,
Boba Fett. And
Boba Fett, yeah. In fact, Bo-Katan initially says they should split into 2 parties. That's what I said earlier. But Djarin says he's going alone. There is no other discussion. That means the entire plan hinges on Djarin getting to the Dark Troopers' holding bay before they are activated. That was stupid. Like I said, if you're trying to lead them in this direction, send 2 or 3 people that way, and then the rest can go this way on the actual mission. It doesn't take 5 or 4 babes, whatever it was, to lead everyone in the other direction. That was stupid. It was contrived. But maybe the most galling decision that creates the all-female charge scene is the fact that Boba Fett is ordered to evacuate the area after Bo-Katan's team lands on Gideon's ship. No reason is given why. And while their ruse to get on the ship works, maybe so Luke wouldn't see Boba Fett, I don't know, Gideon quickly sniffs it out. One would think that having one of the most fearsome bounty hunters as part of your strike team might be something you would want, especially when your infiltration mission has been discovered almost from the get-go. However, Fett leaves the area and is never seen again. Most likely because if he was actually on the mission, he would encounter Luke Skywalker, like I just said, at the end, and then there would be all kinds of problems with that. Yeah,
I honestly never thought that. I never thought of that. I never thought. Okay, so if Boba Fett is on the bridge of that Imperial shuttle and Luke shows up, they know each other. I mean, realistically, Cara Dune should know who Luke Skywalker is. And that scene with Luke at the end, we've talked about it many times. He should be much more interactive with these people, asking more questions and figuring out what's going on, not just showing up, taking a baby and walking away.
Right.
Again, it's so funny. Somebody earlier in the chat, I can't remember who it was, just wrote, but Luke Skywalker. It really is. Like, somebody also asked, how could anyone have liked that after I played that little clip there that I put together? How can anyone actually have enjoyed this or anything like that? Because of Luke Skywalker. Everybody looked past the bullshit. That episode, again, was the worst written episode of TV I think I've ever seen. Not just Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't know. The previous season finale and then the one on the Jedi planet with the beacon was pretty bad.
We've talked about there are a lot of bad episodes. There are a lot of bad written episodes.
here's the thing, like,
For the
you don't
nostalgia.
have to
The
write
cheese.
Boba Fett out of the episode primarily just to avoid the him seeing Luke. You could have Din Djarin and Boba Fett, like, you can have Boba Fett, like, come to Din Djarin's aid fighting the Rock'em Sock'em robots and have him take, like, a pretty nasty hit or whatever where he can't continue on. And, you know, you could have a moment where the Mandalorian, Din Djarin's like, no, I fight alone. And you know, you could have a Boba Fett moment like, no, Mandalorians stick together, brother. You could have done, like, a number of hero moments. Not saying that would have necessarily been, like, the one to go with. To, like, get him off or not have him make it all the way up to the bridge, therefore see Luke Skywalker. Like, there's a number of things you could do to write him part way out of the episode, other than, like, oh no, you just fly away and hang out in some distant space for the whole episode.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, is he not an asset? Like, he's wearing invincible armor, for fuck's sake. Because that's what the show's established, basically.
Magnetic armor.
Like, you can't be killed if you're wearing, like fucking Bo-Katan takes, like, a point-blank blaster from Gideon, and she's fine standing up at the end of the episode. Din Djarin gets punched in the head, like, 100 fucking times. He's fine.
Oh,
like,
unless it's a woman punching him in the head, then he's not okay.
Yeah, then it hurts.
Yeah.
Then it hurts, because Cara
the weakness,
throw a mean right. But, like would he not be, like, very useful for the thing? Like, if you're planning this out and going, this is very critical, we have to take the ship, we need to take the bay, this is all very, very important. I don't know that you would write off one of your chief battle assets and have him just go fly around in empty space for a while. Like, who would come up with that plan tactically? Like, who would think that's the best idea? Like, let's take one of our best fighters and just have him fuck off over there out of the battle for some reason.
And that's what he says next year, too. That's exactly what he says. So Sackhoff is wrong. They weren't the best people for the job, but their best asset, Boba Fett, is used as a decoy and doesn't even deploy with the team. And as for the mission, it more than likely would have failed without the intervention of Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker, as the Dark Troopers and Moff Gideon, outplayed them and had them cornered. And if you want to get really picky, Sackhoff even contradicts herself. Yeah, exactly. She first says they were the best people for the job, but then later says it was just the crew that was available. Which one is it?
They're literally just the ones that were available. They happened to be there. Like, there was no selection. There was no discussion of, like, who would be, like, it was literally just, like, we're all going to go this. Who do we have left? We have Din Djarin's going to go this way, and then everybody else goes this way. There was no discussion of skill.
And Boba Fett goes that way, yeah.
And here's where you could at least have the other male Mandalorian, have him be the pilot that flies away to fuck off. But even then, I'd still be like, but he's wearing invincible armor. Like, wouldn't Fennec Shan be the one that you would keep back?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that, like, she's supposedly this tough chick, but, like, you know, she got beat by Din Djarin earlier in the series, right? In the first season.
Mm-hmm. But she's now at half.
She's not wearing armor.
She's half an
can
android
protect
now,
her in
though.
any way. What's that?
She's half an android now, though.
Yeah, well, her belly. She's got robotic intestines. Like, I don't know if that helps you in a fight very much, but, like, of all the people that you're going to leave back, I would say Fennec or Cara Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Boba Fett. Not one of the guys wearing invincible fucking armor.
Invincible armor. I like that.
Well, it literally is.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Well, you look at the two scenes where he gets hit, but Din Djarin gets hit by all the blaster bolts. It's the scene where he's running towards them to throw the grenades on that Imperial shuttle, and it's the scene in that where they go to the temple and, you know, the Seeing Stone, that scene. And in both of those two scenes where he gets hit, EFAP slowed it down. Both of those are over 20 blaster bolts. Over 20. And not one happens to make it through the the chink in the armor, like the connections of the armor or anything like that. I mean, come on. The odds of that are completely out of this world. None of them actually hit his legs. The armor only covers 30 or 40% of their body. It doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
Right, but again, like let's say I'm the person planning this mission. Like you're the person planning this mission. Is that the plan you come up with?
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah.
No reasonable person, and this is a super critical. This is not like if we win this one, we win no big deal, or if we lose, no big deal, we'll regroup. This is a fucking like massive deal. This is the boss, the big boss man of the universe, apparently at the time. Mm-hmm. You're trying to rescue Grogu without getting him killed. You have to deal with the Rock'em Sock'em robots that up until this episode are billed as like unstoppable fighting machines. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'd put the guy with the fucking armor, as a decoy, just jerking off in empty space for an hour. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't even come back at any point. Like they didn't radio him and be like, "We took the bridge, come back."
Yeah,
they didn't do anything.
Like it's literally
we got control of the ship.
Take the baby. They walk away. They all look at Luke walking away with these sad puppy.
They all cried, and it was over.
Yeah. And it was all over.
Uh-huh.
And you know what's really funny is that there's a lot of normies out there that cried as well in that moment, in that scene. Nothing. My friend's 10 or 11-year-old daughter apparently bawled her eyes out in the final episode.
Oh my gosh.
Probably that was probably more the Grogu goodbye than like for me, like that's the other problem with the Luke Skywalker thing is it takes away from like the one good character moment you really could have had is if you did two things different, like where Din Djarin has to say goodbye to Grogu, you have that kind of like almost E.T. Elliott moment. And like you screwed it up because you had him take the helmet off in the previous episode. Mm-hmm. So you ruined the momentousness of that occasion where he finally takes his helmet off. Like he's already kind of like broken that big rule once already. So like the impact is not there the second time because you had to write that stupid thing where the security system just says, "Do you have a nose?"
It's just like in wrestling when they're trying to build this big match and this feud, you should never let the two guys touch each other, But then they would give it away 2 weeks before on free TV. It's the same exact concept.
Right.
Yeah, it's like Stone Cold and The Rock. They shouldn't touch each other until WrestleMania. But then, oh no, they had this scuffle on Raw. No, keep them away from each other. But they don't know how to do stories.
You're ruining the moment. So like Luke coming back, if you're a big Luke Skywalker moment and that's your thing, like, and you can somehow in your head undo and separate the Mandalorian from the prequel trilogies, which the show itself does not do. It connects in multiple ways to the sequel trilogy. It still it undercuts that goodbye moment from the main two characters of the show, which is like not a good direction to go in the show.
Right.
For essentially what was a gimmick.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, Trey Courtney says Luke did nothing for me. Well, he did nothing in the show. He did nothing full stop. He took down a couple of droids that just stood there, allowing essentially him to just chop them into pieces that are supposed to be these brutal as droids, and took a child and left. Mm-hmm. He literally says, "Yes, I am a Jedi," and there were again. We've talked about this. There's that moment where you've got Grogu and R2 standing there talking to each other for 30 seconds to a minute of screen time, and there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 humans standing in that room, literally just looking at each other with stupid looks on their faces while these guys are just
communicating. It's like a Charlie Brown cartoon where
Luke, Din Djarin, Cara Dune,
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. I didn't even count Moff Gideon.
Fennec.
Then you got the 2 Mandalorian chicks,
And the
Bo-Katan
two
and her
yeah.
sidekicks, so 7.
Yeah.
It's like in a Charlie Brown cartoon where you see all the the adults' legs. Yeah, and then like the kids, you know, they're just kind of there sometimes, even when they're not talking. It was so weird.
Those battle droids, the Dark Troopers, they were badass until they didn't need to be badass anymore.
Correct.
That was all
because
it was.
They were limited to what they could do with basically a CGI Luke.
These motherfuckers that made this episode were so focused on, they were excited about Luke themselves that they didn't even think about, man, he's taking these out too easily, you know? Mm-hmm. That one is like at point blank range and it's missing him with blaster shots.
Well, and then what a moment for your main character to miss with your main character, who's got a fucking lightsaber in his fucking hand and he's wearing invincible armor. Like, have him run out there and help Luke. Do something with your main character.
He could literally turn on his jetpack, fly through the center of all of those guys with the dark saber, and chop
do
through them.
Do something cool with your main character.
Yeah.
Instead of having him just stand there looking stupid.
Yeah. So it goes on. She said, and I think what's changed. Wait, hold on. Let's go back up. Nevertheless, Sackhoff would continue to answer the question, turning to how the industry has changed. She said, and I think that what's changed, not only the genre, but in our industry, is that we don't feel like we have to quantify a female's existence anymore by saying, well, she's a woman, she's a strong female character. We don't have to do that anymore. That would be qualifying, not quantifying, but hey, who's counting? She continued, now it's just like, isn't that awesome to watch? Holy crap, that was amazing. That's not to take away from and negate the fact that they're obviously women. I think that's what's changed the most in the industry. We have so many amazing women to watch.
And that's where I have to disagree with her.
That's so wrong on so many levels.
Yep. In the fact that they don't, it's not even mentioned that, it's a strong female character or it's a female that's playing the role, or that's absolute bullshit. It's like I said in my video, that's all I fucking hear coming out of fucking Hollywood at the moment, out of Lucasfilm at the moment.
I'm willing to bet that I can find like probably 100 episodes celebrating how awesome it is that Bo-Katan is in a live action thing because she's a female.
Yep.
Go to the Mary Sue's and all those other fucking sites, and I guarantee I can find articles. But this premise, like the whole setup here, the premise is broken and wrong. We've accepted female leads in science fiction and in this genre for fucking decades without issue. Like the entire idea that suddenly like this is a change, wrong. And the other part is where she's saying like, oh, we're not saying it's a female. Well, all your press is your Twitter account, your publicist, everybody surrounding the publication of your goddamn property is saying strong female character. So, like, you may not say it in the fucking show, but everything else you're saying it in. So, like, wrong on both accounts. You fucking liar.
They're not saying it behind the scenes. So, like, when they're shooting, it's like, all right, let's have our strong female women moment. Right? No. Well, of course, they're not saying it like that, but it's not to say that it's not being pushed to be that way in regards to we do have to have more female characters, more strong women. We need to have more women directors. We need to have more women, whatever. Like, it's just, that's all. It's exactly like Greg said. That's all we fucking hear at the moment. The Twitter page is all just one big fucking virtue signal. If it's Black History Month, it's all Finn. If it's fucking, it's always seems to be, we need strong female women. That seems to be the one thing that just keeps going and going and going, right? They don't have to have a specific month to push that narrative. We need to see, we need more trans non-binary fucking Jedi to virtue signal for Trans Month or whatever the fuck it is. It's a specific day for Trans Identification Month, or I don't know what the fuck it was. But okay, we invented these two trans characters so that when this day comes around, we can say, look, we're inclusive. And then and then their creative freedom comes up with fucking dumb fucking characters called Geode.
Buckets of blood.
Buckets of fucking blood. That's this fucking Jedi Master's nickname is Buckets of Blood.
Oh,
I'm sorry, a Jedi who, like, how did he get the nickname? Because he just slaughters cunts. He is brutal. He is a fucking beast when he's got his lightsaber ignited and he's charging, right? And he just draws blood no matter what. Yeah, that's real fucking Jedi of you, you fucking dumb fucks. It just, oh man, it annoys me to the point where even the people, like I'm saying, that aren't even behind the scenes, that aren't even in control of the Twitter pages, come out and say this crap. How disattached can you possibly be from reality? Everyone in the chat here, all 30 people, and the three of us, 33 people just here, can blatantly see the hypocrisy of what she's saying, because all we fucking see is fucking women this, women that. We need strong female fucking characters. Fuck off,
Disney,
Lady
you
Terriel,
fucking
for
cunts.
$5. Thank you very much. Says nothing, but thank you for the donation.
She said
I
good stream a
appreciate it.
few messages later. So yeah.
Thank you.
It's this entire notion, like, again, and you really see it in Star Trek too. I think was probably the most egregious. Back padding for all the alleged firsts and barriers that they're breaking that have been broken for like decades. And like, yeah, it's this idea that like, oh, a strong female characters, except what's different now? Nothing. Nothing is different.
Later,
like, I don't get, like, Bo-Katan, the fact that Bo-Katan's a female is of no consequence to me.
Here's what it is. It's not a first. It's like, fucking your 11th chick, right? And then saying it's your first. No one's buying it. It's like it's not your first. No one's buying it. I'm sorry. So,
like a porn star saying I'm a virgin.
Yeah, exactly.
Continue.
Yeah, and this is
There's
the
a
end
little
of it
bit
here.
more.
This is the end of it here. And hey, look, Luke Skywalker. Sackhoff would then point to Nomadland to illustrate her point. Look at Nomadland. Does anyone know what the fuck that is? Is it some kind of fantasy universe?
Must be a show or some movie or something.
Yeah. Look at Frances McDormand. I mean, that performance. That is a strong woman. They never talk about the fact that it's unsafe for her to be living this life because she's a woman. They don't talk about it. They show the difficulties for everyone living this life, men and women. That was so beautiful to me because it's like, I think it allows us as viewers to really get just lost in something and not go, oh, there's the explanation there, she concluded. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell that is, but it sounds woke.
Oh, well, listen to this. Nomadland 2020. After losing everything in the Great Recession, a woman embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad.
Wow.
What's with the
stunning
van?
Yeah.
Brave.
Like fucking Batwoman.
Like
living
every
in a
character
van.
needs to live in a fucking van by the river now. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Batwoman does, and
it's weird.
Yeah. Again, I just look at this and think to myself, you are so... I don't have anything against Katee Sackhoff, but it just seems that she is very clueless.
I think she believes what she's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
She's just wrong.
Yeah. But this is the thing that I don't understand is how can she possibly believe what she's saying when all we see is the female virtue signal? How hard it is for a woman to make it in the industry, and it's so great when we have our strong female characters. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that Ripley didn't exist to you. I didn't realize that Sarah Connor didn't exist to you. I didn't realize that fucking Pretty Woman didn't exist to you. Go on.
But they're given when they're being interviewed. It's the interviewers that are setting this shit up, and I don't know if it's like agreed upon ahead of time or whatever. But you could like the questions he was asking her were just leading. Like like he set the premise that it was something new, that a character like hers would be accepted now versus it wasn't in the past. And she just kind of basically was like nodding and agreeing.
It's a softball
without even
pitch.
thinking about that premise and going, no, wait a minute. Like, how long ago did I do Battlestar Galactica? Like, how long ago was that? Legitimately, like how?
That was 2000.
No, but it was
the miniseries was 2002, and the regular one started a few years later because they had to have
so
time
it's well
in between.
before we get into this woke
so
bullshit.
over 10 years ago.
Well over.
Yeah.
Well over 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, see, wouldn't that be like if you actually think if she actually like kind of pondered the question a little bit instead of just going with the softball leading question that was given her, she'd be like, now, wait a minute, they accepted my character, and that was over 10 plus years ago? So, like, no, I'm going to reject the premise of your question that this is suddenly something new.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they accepted my character over a decade ago. Like, this is not... Like, there's nothing new about my character in that sense at all.
No.
And let's also not forget that the character Bo-Katan was invented and written over 10 years ago and now has been expanded upon in live action. So again, even...
Well, almost 10 years ago, yeah.
Almost 10 years ago. Okay. So still, not new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can go further back in history. Like, there's female characters, and I know we always say Ripley, and we give off the list of just science fiction ones, but just think about the female protagonists we've seen in, like, all sorts of movies. And
I just hate the fact...
science fiction or action movies, and these are movies that guys watch, too. It's not just, chick flicks.
I got one for you. What about Roseanne?
Yeah.
Yeah, leads in sitcoms, for fuck's sake. Yeah.
She was the boss of Dan, I mean...
Oh, yeah. Absolutely she was.
Mm-hmm.
He went along to keep her happy.
Yeah, there's all kinds of examples, man.
Well, I mean, you can go back to, Candice Bergen's character, Murphy Brown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The thing that I hate, though, is why is this so important? Like, why is it that these people...
all-powerful females?
Strong, these journalists feel that the journalists feel that it's necessary to ask these questions.
Dana Scully.
And then apparently it's necessary to answer these questions in a way that is so clueless from reality. And that makes it sort of all okay. It's like I said in my retweet to that, I just go, just because she said it doesn't make it true. It's so... I just don't understand why all of these things have become so important. Why why the trans lives matter thing or whatever, however you want to put it, is such a big thing. If you're trans or you want to be trans or that's just the way that you are, or I don't know exactly how it works or anything like that. But if that's what you are and that's what you want to be or whatever, cool. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you go... Man, if I want to become an actor, I will do all the things that I do to try and get there. If I make it, I make it. If I'm good enough, I'm good enough. If I'm not, I'm not. The problem is that all of this attention that these studios, that these actors, that these journalists keep putting on the identity politics of everything, it takes away from the storytelling. It takes away from these articles talking about how good these moments really are, as opposed to why the women fit in these moments.
Yeah.
No, what it is, and here's where you can really tell, is when it is just a virtue signal. They substitute quality writing and character development for just the virtue signal, which is actually not just a disservice to the general audience, but it's a disservice to the people you're trying to quote unquote represent, because all you're giving them is literally a fucking token.
Yeah.
You're not developing them in any way. You're just saying, like, well, the character's trans, that's good enough. Like, I don't have to really do anything more with that. It's just, that's all what's their defining characteristic? They're trans.
Yeah.
Do they have any other characteristics or qualities to their personality? No, not really. They're just trans. Or they're just gay. Star Trek Discovery. The gay doctor.
Oh,
what other quality does he have? I don't know. He's just gay.
we've given you your first gay character in Star Wars. We've given you your first trans characters in Star Wars. We've given you this. We're giving you your first female strong characters in Star Wars. Oh, but what about Leia? Oh, she wasn't a Jedi. Oh, but now she is fucking what? Make it up as you go along, bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And people will believe it every step of the way. But here's the thing.
Because they desperately want to belong to something or attach themselves or be a part of some movement. Because in their insignificant lives that don't matter, they want to say that they've done something.
I like it. Mm-hmm. But if you trace this back to the origin, right? This whole woke thing, what is it about? It's about identity, and it's about group identity, right?
Yeah.
And where does that go back to? It goes back to Marxism. Let's erase all individuality and be collectivists. And that's what it's about. You're put into buckets. You're this group, you're that group. Then the buckets get bigger until everyone in society winds up looking like the non-binary twin Jedis. That's what they want humans to look like in the future. Just cookie cutter people that obey and follow the rules, and we're all the same. That's where it's all traced back to.
But now trans people can see themselves in Star Wars. Unless you're a woman transitioning to a man, in which case, because these are men transitioning to women, I think, non-binary, so I can't really say that they're just they turning into thems. So it's, that not all trans people can see themselves in these people because it's the wrong way around. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's fucking dumb. It's so dumb.
What's the wrong way around? It's like, oh, well, that's a male to female, not a female to male.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, we got.
So not all trans people can identify with these characters. So what are you going to do about that, Disney?
Well, then you have to have trans people that change, but they don't change their orientation. So they're born male, transition to female, but are still interested in female. And then you have born male, transition to female, interested in male. So, like, you start getting into all the, you have to have the entire cast has got to be, like, each variation of this, and that's really all the cast is.
Blue-eyed Scorpio is funny.
It doesn't, yeah.
Or every humans does, maybe, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, even that's under assault right now because you have body positivity, right?
Yeah.
To admire what is I'd say objectively, but yeah, there's objective standards to beauty. There's symmetry and things like that. It's mostly subjective, but there are some objective things. Like admiring beauty is like wrong now.
Yeah.
You should admire ugly people because it's not fair that other people look better than them.
Yeah. Because they want to sit and eat potato chips all day. Yeah.
Right. Or just acknowledge that, like, we're not all equal. There are going to be people that look better. There are going to be people that are smarter than you. And there are going to be people that are dumber than you.
Oh, that's under assault too in schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're now living in a day and age where it seems like you can get arrested for standing up for a lady when she's about to sit down at the dinner table, or opening a door for a woman. Right, ladies first.
Well, no,
I'm not saying you can get arrested for it.
It still depends. Like, if it's a positive thing, then generally people look the other way.
Or
unless you do it for a Karen. If you do it for a Karen, she'll go off of you.
Or knocking her over the head with your club and dragging her back to your cave by the hair. I mean, we can't do anything these days anymore. And it pisses me off.
Embrace the fat. No more fitness.
Right. Yeah. Like to the point where when somebody who is plus sized actually like loses the weight, they get shit for it.
Yeah, they do.
They literally get like in trouble in like attempted cancellation. I mean, they don't really get canceled, but like it's almost the same kind of rhetoric. Like, people come after them for like losing the weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like being a race treater,
Like, good Lord. And again, I can say that because I'm a fat fucker. So
I see this as her being very out of touch. I actually don't. Like I said before we even started this, Yellow Flash did a video covering this, and he was saying how it really goes against Lucasfilm and Disney and Hollywood's narrative of them talking. But I don't see it that way. I see this as being completely disattached from reality, and because that's all we do see. The only thing that is important to these people right now is having more women in Hollywood, behind the camera directing. Either that or actually on screen. And if they're on screen, more often than not, they're actually putting down the white male, or they portray the white male to be the bad guy or the evil guy, or his motivations aren't there for that reason to do those things, but they just do it anyway, because they're the toxic white male. So it's just, I don't know. And it's okay. We've only gone through the first topic. We're an hour and 40 minutes in, but that's because we sort of started reading the wrong article. But anyway, I wanted to touch on that again. I did my video on it. I think, I've heard what I think. I just think it's stupid. I again, completely out of touch with reality. And we know the truth. We can see the truth.
Yep. I think it's an actress who's reading her own press too much, or reading her own publicist stuff too much, and starts again, they do this with Star Trek the worst, I think, and that is that they just the diversity thing suddenly becomes like the defining characteristic of the show, and it's like, no, that was like a part of it, but that wasn't like what the show was about. Because part of the thing was it was shown but not told, and that was the point. It was just that's the way it is.
Yep.
But
it's fun.
You start having all these people start giving you accolades for the things you're doing, and you start to kind of believe your own press a little bit. I fully believe that Katee Sackhoff 100% believes all of what she said there. She's just
I'm with you.
She's just flat out wrong.
Yep. And in regards to this, it's the same with the Australian Rebel Wilson. She starts to lose weight. It's the same with that singer. What's her name? I can't remember. She starts to lose weight. Adele. And all of a sudden, they're the bad guys. Why? Is it wrong for these people to want to get a bit more healthy? Maybe look a bit slimmer? Maybe look a little bit more attractive to the opposite sex or the same sex if you fucking identify that way? It's stupid to think, so these fat people now need to stay fat and unhealthy to satisfy your little fucking thing on Twitter or whatever. I'm sorry, these people have the time to be able to get healthy as well, because they've got all the money in the world. They don't actually have to worry about going out and doing the 9 to 5, right? So they actually do have the ability to get healthy, and it's a good thing. Okay, so are we now supposed to say fuck you to The Rock because he's worked out every day for his entire life and he looks good and he stays healthy and he, takes care of himself?
Yes. Well, because his politics are right. But I'll disagree a little bit with the comedians though. With Adele, certainly, because unless her voice changed because of the weight loss, then it makes no difference for her. Because she's a singer and a songwriter. That's what matters. For comedians, a little bit different, because when your whole shtick is the fat guy, that's your whole comedic angle. That's all your jokes and things are centered around. Drew Carey was self-deprecating fat guy jokes all the time, right? Well, when you're no longer the fat guy and you need to come up with some other material, I'd say give him a chance. But it's very possible that if your shtick as a comedian is the fat guy jokes and you're no longer the fat guy jokes aren't going to work anymore.
That's true.
That's true. Same for Jonah Hill, who I don't think has ever been funny. But no, there's some movies he's been funny in. But if your shtick is that persona, it's just if your shtick is the hot woman and you gain, 120 pounds, you're not going to get the same role, sweetheart, because you were cast based on your looks. And I know you think that's evil when it works against you now, but here's a newsflash: people like to look at pretty things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to sell them a ticket, you need to show them a pretty thing that they want to see. That's just human nature. And, if you got a problem with human nature, then leave the human race. You know what to do.
Wow.
But it's like you're saying, like we all like to look at attractive things. We like to look at, well, for me, I like looking at attractive people of the opposite sex. I think it's, there's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with having an attraction to someone?
Well, but even with the same sex, like I don't want to see a schlubby superhero.
Yeah.
Like I want to look up to a dude that has got the body of Henry Cavill, or Ben Affleck when he was in the DC movies, when he was jacked to play Batman and everything. Like I want to see somebody that's not me. Because I have no secret notions that I could go out there if I had $1 trillion, I could fight like Batman. No, I'd get winded after fucking chasing down one guy for a block.
Well, this is the thing.
I'd be like, I need a fucking cigarette.
We've always been told, we've always known through our entire lives that sex sells, right? Now, the only sex that's allowed to sell is men with their tops off, right? If you want to. You talk about it that way. Like I'm not talking literal sex, obviously. Of course it does, but we always you see billboards with sexy women on them, or you see these things. Now you've got to have don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem seeing plus size women on an ad for some clothing thing, right? I see it all the time on TV now. They don't just have the nice slim women on there. They've got all
because
different
you're trying to sell
sizes.
to that audience. That legitimately makes sense. You're selling a product, not like an image of a product. So that makes sense. But isn't it interesting though? You're not seeing a bunch of big fat guys doing underwear commercials though.
No, that's right. But but one thing that I do notice is that when Jason Momoa takes off his singlet and he's all wet from being hit by waves in Justice League and everything,
right,
it's okay for all the women to sit there and literally drool over these men. I mean, go and watch Anna, that Star Wars girl, and how she feels about Henry Cavill. It's okay for that, right?
It literally is okay.
But
I'm fine with that.
No, I'm fine with that too. I don't have a problem with it at all. But what I'm saying is,
also let me say that Scarlett Johansson is hot in Iron Man 2.
Exactly. Or that Gal Gadot is like, damn girl, you are one fine piece of work. Cancel me, sue me. I'm sorry. I'm a heterosexual white male. And I wouldn't even go so far to consider myself to be completely white. Yes, my skin is on the tones of more white than dark. But, if you go back in my history, I should probably have a little bit more of an olive skin tone than white. Anyway, it's just, I don't know. And then it comes down to the white privilege stuff. Well, I've never had white privilege in my life, so I don't know what the fuck all that's about. Anyway, I'm going a little bit off topic, but I don't know. I just, again, just going back to what Katee Sackhoff said and did, it's out of touch to me. It's like Greg said, I believe that she does believe what she's saying, but it's wrong. It's very wrong. Anyway, let's move on to something else in Star Wars that came up this week, and I think it was only a couple of days after my last Casual Rage stream. So this was actually, it might have come out before. I just missed it. The Force healing.
It's a week ago tonight.
A week ago tonight. So yes, it was actually after, because I did mine the day before last week.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and this is like the equivalent of ripping the evil out of someone. They had this gimmick back in the 90s on these infomercials where you could get the evil ripped out of you, and it would make you healthy and all kinds of shit. This is basically what they're doing in Star Wars. So Disney makes Star Wars Force healing even worse, again by John Trent at Bounding into Comics. A new report from Screen Rant details that force healing can now clear your mind and remove the influence of the dark side from individuals. But hey, to amend this, a new report from Screen Rant details that force healing by Ray, trademark, all rights reserved, can now clear your mind. Because it was, no one else could do force healing like this, but Ray, the untrained force user, Jedi extraordinaire. Screen Rant's Thomas Bacon. That guy, that person, this Thomas Bacon, they always have the worst articles on Screen Rant. And that has to be some kind of stupid pseudonym. Screen Rant's Thomas Bacon reports that in Kristen Bavers, that's the redhead babe that does all the videos on the Star Wars YouTube channel and stuff, she wrote this book, newly released Skywalker, A Family at War book. It reveals that Rey not only physically healed Kylo Ren in The Rise of Skywalker, but she also healed his mind. Bacon quotes from the book, Rey transferred her own force energy to the wounded man at her feet. However, the interaction did more than merely mend a gaping wound. Burned flesh and damaged organs were made whole again, and even the scar on his face disappeared. And I think Ryan or someone showed that happening on a stream. For the first time in more than a decade. Ben Solo's mind cleared. So she sucked the dark side out of him and spat it out. So she healed him of the dark side. Why didn't she just do that before in another movie?
Because she hadn't read it in the book yet.
Yeah, that's right.
She hadn't learned how to do it yet, so she didn't actually know. So that makes sense in regards to why didn't she do it earlier. But what doesn't make sense
then
is
why didn't Luke do it when he had the books?
No, I agree.
Instead of trying to swing his lightsaber and kill a kid.
Why didn't Luke just do that to Vader? Why didn't Obi-Wan just do that to Maul? You can go so far back in all of this. This is the thing. We talk about how they're still writing The Rise of Skywalker. And this is just more proof that they're actually still writing it because they had no idea what they're doing. Now all the fans come out and go, well, why? How? All of this kind of thing, unless it's The Mandalorian, in which case, yes, Luke Skywalker. Woohoo! But in this, it's like, we've got all these questions. How does this work? How can they do this? And they've got to now explain it in another book somehow. It's like with how did Rey in The Force Awakens defeat Kylo? Later on we find out that she downloaded his training while he was torturing her.
Stupid.
Right? So now that makes it okay. So again, it's just them constantly writing the story because they actually have no idea what they're writing. They have no idea. Trey, you're absolutely right. This is so stupid.
It's not only that they don't have any idea. They don't think about the ramifications on the rest of the lore or the universe or the things that have happened previously or things that will happen in the future.
Yep.
Like, anybody who thinks about that would go, like, let's not do that because that's a drama killer in the future. That if you can just, like, force heal the bad out of somebody, like...
Yeah.
That makes it very difficult to tell a story in the future about a bad guy.
Christopher, this is a very good point. So why didn't, while Anakin was burning on the shores of Mustafar, why didn't Obi-Wan walk over, heal all his wounds, right? And, regrow his legs and all of that sort of thing, and then heal his mind at the same time? Why?
Well, it's because Darth Sidious could put it back.
He just has to...
Like, he could bite and then spit it back into him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fucking law! Yeah. Continue, Tim. Please.
He then interprets the quote, writing, Rey's force heal had a transformative effect on Ben's mind, freeing him from the Emperor's influence, granting him clarity of thought for longer than Ben could possibly remember. Bacon would go on to claim, this is just confirmation of what Disney has been doing with force healing outside of Rey's healing of Kylo. He writes, if you haven't heard about this, Greg, you're going to love this paragraph. He writes, Baby Yoda used it on Greef Karga which is Action Jackson's character in The Mandalorian, Carl Weathers' character. And immediately afterwards...
that's why he completely changed in the next season.
Yes. Let me finish. And immediately afterwards, he began to demonstrate a conscience for the first time in his life. The desert serpent slithered away, losing its aggression, and Kylo Ren was redeemed immediately after being healed by Rey. So yeah, that's exactly why they're explaining away this.
You know why? Because everybody started saying, "Oh, when that serpent thing got healed, it was it was a video game plot. It just moved out the way, and there was the doorway, there was the exit, right? Oh, so now we've got to actually make it a part of the lore that not only did Rey heal the serpent, but she actually healed the serpent's mind to basically take away its anger and aggression so that it can just slither away and reveal their exit." Oh, so that changes the fact that it's still a video game plot. It's oh my God. And the Grief Karga one in regards to, Grief pretty much having a conscience after all of this. Well, what?
Well, adding this ability to force heal also makes it an infinitely more complex and non-impulsive reflexive force power too, right? Because not only are you healing somebody's wounds, you are now basically essentially rewriting their mind, and taking dark thoughts away. So I guess we have to believe that the same rodent who can't not eat frog eggs and do stupid annoying baby shit.
Yeah.
Well, not only
has
that,
the ability to transform an old man's
thoughts,
evil heart into a good man suddenly.
Yep. Well, not only that.
Well, that's quite a power.
Let me ask why didn't Rey, while Palpatine was trying to seduce her to kill him, why didn't she just walk over, put her hand on his head, and force heal his mind?
Oh, because he was too powerful.
There's a cap. Electrocuted her until
there's a cap. It only works on level 99 bad guys and under.
Right.
If they're over 100 level, then it doesn't work.
And we needed our endgame moment with "I am inevitable" and "I am Iron Man."
Yeah. I love that they fixed Grief Karga's complete. It makes me happy because at least now I see somebody else other than us, acknowledging that Grief Karga's character, completely fucking changed from one season to the next.
Yep.
Not to mention he's one of the characters that completely changed, but I don't remember Grogu healing what's his name, Bill Burr's character.
No.
So I don't understand
so why is he?
I don't understand why he's suddenly a good man.
They'll put it in a book or something.
Or Cara Dune. Maybe while Baby Yoda was force choking Cara Dune, choke a bitch. While he was doing that to her, maybe he changed her to be able to not get arrested once she reveals herself to the New Republic. Maybe. I'm just,
Well, then if he's got the ability to do that, then what's Ahsoka worried about him going to the dark side for, to not train?
Well, and that's what they
Ahsoka,
point out.
Suck the bad out of him.
That's what they point out. If only this ability was available to the Jedi Order before the rise of Skywalker, there would be no need for the entire Star Wars saga in the first place, because there's no way the Emperor would have risen to power. The Jedi would have just force healed everyone to remove the influence of the dark side. But it does beg the question, if there is force healing, is there anti-force healing as well? And did Palpatine use it on Anakin? Boom.
Mm-hmm. God, I swear I've not read these articles. What I want to know is so if Rhino, you and I are Jedi, right? Can we do it on each other then and make ourselves super good?
Only if you're a dyad.
Oh, only if you're a diet. That's the rule. That's
the rule.
Doodad.
But see, this is the thing. Who is Baby Yoda now going to be a dyad for? Because now they've created this law that now fucks they've got to somehow now do a little retcon. Oh, the dyad. You know who he's a dyad with? R2.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing.
He rescued him. Yay.
He rescued him.
Didn't
apparently.
Palpatine himself say like dyads are like super rare and that it's been millennium since they've happened? But now there's like 2 of them wandering around. There's Grogu and some random dude.
Yeah.
And then Kylo and Rey. Like, but see, this is what I talk about. Like, you know, when they write excuses in like after the fact, be like, well, see, it makes sense. Like, no, literally, you can write anything if you have the authority of canon behind you. You can write that Space Cthulhu did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Space Cthulhu jizzed on the planet because he's huge, and he uses Jakku as a cum rag, and Rey got some on her, and that's how she became part of a Force doodad.
Oh,
Doodad.
So, like, literally, you could just write any nonsense and go, "Well, see, it's explained."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like writing the
It doesn't fit.
I bypass the compressor.
Yes.
You know, they can write in whatever the fuck they want, but the problem is that they're coming from a universe that already exists. You're making shit up. This is the thing. This is what, again, I don't understand why they even invested the money in Star Wars. If you wanted to create something that was completely different from Star Wars, well, then fucking create it. Don't buy this franchise and then
you know what?
Have to actually earn their audience. They don't want to have to earn their audience. They want to earn an audience.
Buy their audience.
Create it and still hire Harrison Ford in them and pay them to be in something else. And you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is almost over. I think who knows, but who really cares? Because at this point, Disney is just making up a bunch of garbage and slapping the Star Wars label on it. Yep, none of this makes sense because the people coming up with it don't care about Star Wars whatsoever, and they are too lazy to stop and think even for a second about how dumb these ideas are. Yeah,
or what the consequences are. You know, a perfect example too is like, you know, and this one was talked about to death, but. You know, the light speed ramming, the whole maneuver. Like, it looked cool and everything, and it kind of fit the moment and everything, but, like, nobody stopped and went, whoa, how are we going to do space battles going forward if anybody can just do the Holdo maneuver?
Yeah, why not just make a missile that goes to hyperspace?
Right. So even if you say that, like, she was legitimately the first person to ever think of it, and you actually believe that, okay, but still, what do you do now to create tension and space battles going in the future, knowing that that is now an option? You can't. It wrecks, and nobody said, now wait, Ryan, that's going to kind of screw us over in future movies and properties if we can just say, like, just lightspeed ram them.
Yeah,
like,
they just
I know
want you to forget
this
about
cool
it.
Visual effect that you wanted to show with the no sound and everything, and it looked cool. It really did look cool. But doesn't survive a second of thought.
Mm-mm.
And that's Star Wars now. It looks cool, doesn't survive a second of thought.
Right.
Star Wars is dumb.
And it is not
so
saved.
Dumb now. No.
We say it's saved because we're being smartasses, but it is not saved.
Yeah,
in reality.
we're being sarcastic.
Yes.
But this is the other thing too, is that Pablo Hidalgo and Dave Filoni are supposed to be the people that, you know, the law keepers, the keepers of the key. They're supposed to be the ones that go to Jon Favreau.
They're the keepers of their own paychecks. They don't give
No,
a
I get
shit.
it. I know that. We know that. But they're supposed what they're employed to be doing, what they're supposed to be doing is actually controlling the law, controlling the continuity of these stories. But again, as we mentioned in the previous article, the story doesn't matter anymore. As long as you can see yourself on the screen, as long as you can see yourself in these people, it doesn't matter.
No, their job is just literally to tell the creatives that are actually making the stuff a plausible, even if it's ridiculous, excuse to do whatever they want to do. Their job is to find a way to make the directors and writers' dumb ideas fit into the lore somehow.
Yeah.
And they come up with these convoluted dumb things like, you know, healing, you know, also heals you of the bad. It makes you a good man suddenly.
So okay,
or
let's
all the other shit that they've done.
Let's put a scenario here. Us three, we're the story group for The Mandalorian. How do we come up with tracking fobs without an explanation? If you're sitting there and you're going, okay, so we need a way to find, like, for these bounty hunters to be able to find their bounties, right? Instead of actually giving each individual bounty hunter or whatever their own skills on how they do that and how they track their bounties, let's make it just really easy and give them this thing called a tracking fob. How does the story group not sit there and go, okay, let's explain it right now. Let's work out how a tracking fob actually works. No,
I suspect
it into the story and then drop it come the second season because we don't have an explanation. And then all the fans come out and go, well, why didn't Boba Fett just use a tracking fob when he was chasing down Han, Leia and everything to Cloud City? Or why didn't they just use a tracking fob in the sequel trilogy to find Luke Skywalker? And then, it becomes an issue. So they, instead of actually giving some sort of explanation, it is literally just, let's drop it.
Yeah, instead of having something like a bounty hunters guild, which would have a network of informants, like the entire point of a guild is to have that established infrastructure to facilitate whatever it is the profession you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. How would you write it? You would have them have a network of informants. The tracking fobs and the whole Baby Yoda being 50 thing was literally only to do a fucking cheap aha gotcha moment when they reveal that the bounty he's looking for is actually a kid. So, like, all these bad things were just for one stupid, dumb reveal in the very first episode of the TV show.
Yeah. But I suspect that...
And it's damaged the lore ever since.
Early on, the story group might have called them out for some of this stuff, not just on The Mandalorian, but in the movies, right? Mm-hmm. And once they did that, people like JJ and Ryan Johnson said, these people are telling me I'm doing stuff wrong. And then Katee sent some people to tell Pablo and them, hey, you're upsetting our important people. So you need to, just be nice and rubber stamp it. It's, they're not working for Lucasfilm anymore. They're working for Disney. They're not working for George, who wanted criticism. They're working for this big corporate monster that doesn't give a shit. It's all political now. I guarantee that happened.
I'm sorry to sound like a gatekeeper, but if you've been a Star Wars fan since 2015, well, you're not a Star Wars fan. You're a Disney Star Wars fan. You are a Star Wars fan, but you're some sort of other Star Wars. It's not real Star Wars. I'm sorry, but it's fucking not.
Yep.
At the risk of being cancelled because I'm fucking gatekeeping, well, I'm sorry. If you cannot add these things together, we talked about hyperspace. We've talked about tracking fobs, all the things that trigger me. Everyone puts them in the chat all the time because they know that this is going to get a rise out of me, right? But at the end of the day, if you can sit there and go, okay, they can make a jump into hyperspace from atmosphere in The Mandalorian, and I can look past that and go, oh, look, cute baby Yoda. Oh, look, Luke Skywalker. Well, fuck you.
Oh, look, Gina.
Because it's you guys out there that are actually destroying the IP.
Yeah.
Not the creators. The creators are doing what you want them to do. So it's just like fucking Justice League or release the Snyder Cut. They gave the fans what they wanted. Well, guess what? If you like The Mandalorian, they're going to give you more of what you wanted, aren't they? Which is still garbage. It's still not fucking Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars. At least it feels like Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that when I was watching A New Hope or when I was watching Empire Strikes Back, I was sitting there going, this feels like Star Wars. No, I was sitting there going, this is fucking Star Wars.
Well, I guess, it really comes down to what you define is your Star Wars. If you consider Star Wars a musical, a familiar musical theme and blasters and lightsabers.
Yeah. And the words Jedi.
And space. Then, like, if that's your definition of Star Wars, then yeah, I guess it is Star Wars. But, like, I define it much more narrowly than that. It's like, I don't consider Star Wars just some generic space show. or
okay, so let me ask this question:
a show with laser swords about wizards, like a lot of the Last Jedi fans that derisively describe Star Wars fans as that.
So let me ask you this question: can you be a Star Wars fan and not know who Revan is? I know I'm jumping to another thing that came up this week, but can you be a Star Wars fan and not know who Revan is?
I would say yes, because Revan is exclusive to the video games.
Yep.
Or was exclusive to the video games.
And books.
And the books, well, later the books. But, like, I think you can be a Star Wars fan and be a fan of just the movies.
Tim?
Like, I would say that you can, like, would you be a hardcore fan? Or a very in-depth fan? No. You're a casual fan, then.
Well, I can say I knew who Revan was without playing the games and without reading the books.
Sphere of people, yeah, it's the sphere of people you talk to and associate with, too, though.
So, Tim, can you be a Star Wars fan and not know who Revan is?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Can you be a Star Wars fan and not know that you can't make a jump from atmosphere?
I would say yes, but like in Ryan's video today, I think he had a good point, and I don't think he worded it this way, but this is kind of what he meant. There's a spectrum, right? And I don't think being a Disney Star Wars fan is on that spectrum. But if you're a person that watched the classic trilogy, that watched the prequels and you enjoyed them for what they were and you got them, I think you're a fan. So, you might not have noticed, hey, look, they're jumping to hyperspace from atmosphere. You might not have noticed that. That's fine. But two things here. Are you listening to the people who know what they're talking about, like us? Because our experience is different and we do know more, right?
Well, I'm not, man. I know less than you, Tim. You've read a lot more EU. You know a lot more lore than I do.
But you're still a fan.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, this is the other thing too, is that I used to like the Clone Wars, the animated show, the animated series. Now, since I've got more into the EU and since I've spoken to a lot more people that do know a lot more about Star Wars than I do, it has squandered my enjoyment of the Clone Wars animated show series. Is that a bad thing? I don't see that as a bad thing. I just see that as like, okay, now I'm getting the true story. Now I'm seeing what the creator actually really truly wanted in that. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of asked that question because I kind of feel like, okay, yes, there are people out there. It's this one scene in The Mandalorian where they make the jump from atmosphere, right? Okay, so you can, of course, have missed that. There was a lot of nostalgia in that episode too, in regards to having Boba Fett kicking some ass. Right? So it's kind of like, so are we now blinded? It's kind of like, because we got our Luke Skywalker moment, are we blinded to the bad writing in that episode?
But there's like, okay, so like everything, like Tim was saying, there's a spectrum, right? So if you take that light speed from atmosphere thing and put it on your own, and like if you're a normie going, well, I didn't know that, or like, but like you can be a normie fan, right? That is a fan level.
Yep.
That's on one side of the spectrum versus somebody who's like, really gets into the weeds and gets into the detail. But when somebody that's further down that spectrum kind of says, well, no, that's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be able to go from light speed. And then they explain why and how that kind of breaks other things. Like you go back to, well, that makes the whole planet blockade thing kind of obsolete. Like there's it that circumvents planet blockades then if you can light speed from atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then if you're a normie and still go, well, no, you're nitpicking, then like I got a problem with it, because like you're being given more information, and we're not just saying this is a rule and it's some arbitrary rule that was made up and like it's insignificant and doesn't break anything. It literally does break something, because you can go back to the Naboo, all the way to the Naboo blockade. Like, if you can light speed past the blockade, then what does the blockade do?
Yeah, and why didn't they?
And once you get explained that, you can still say, well, I didn't really think about that, but yeah, they shouldn't have done that. They should have had him just go out to space a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And that would have made more sense. And, does that break the entire show for that normie? Probably not. It probably still is like, that's still a small detail. I like the show overall. But then all these things kind of add up.
Yep.
And you're going, well, that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. And you can call it, like, that's an error. Having them go into light speed from atmosphere there was an error.
But so let's talk about something that let's say you're talking to a normie about The Mandalorian, and you're not even talking about a lore or a continuity issue. You're just talking about how stupid the stormtroopers are and how they literally just run into blaster bolts and they never really fire a shot. So you're talking about writing issues here now, right?
Yeah, that's different.
So
that's not
then how does how do you take a person seriously when they go, what can a person say to justify why that is good? What could a person, a normie, possibly say to justify in their own heads how that's a good scene or that's a good moment?
You know what they'll say?
What?
They'll just say, "Oh, the same thing happened in the original movies."
Yeah.
And we know
that's what they all
we
say.
know that's not true. It's
not a good justification.
It's not true either. It's just a common misconception that has been perpetuated by a lot of, comedy stuff, and
it's memes that become reality.
Yeah, memes. Yeah, just like the red shirts in Star Trek. Because when we watch the show,
repeat a lie enough and circulate a lie enough, it becomes the truth.
Yeah, I think when we watched the show, the first 2 seasons of Star Trek, more blue and yellow shirts died than red shirts. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's just a perpetuated. I don't want to call it a lie. It's more just like a misconception. So
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I find it funny how Disney has been able to divide the Star Wars fan base into multiple different factions. It's so funny. There's so many different
factions.
I hate that word now, but it's true though. You've got the people that hate the sequels, but they like Mandalorian. Even though, and I've said it before, the Mandalorian, honestly, it does just as much damage to lore and continuity as the sequel trilogy. It's just not as in your face. And because there's no real destruction of characters, even though I see bits of destructions of certain characters and stupid shit, but because there isn't really that in your face either in regards to Luke, Han, and Leia, it's overlooked. I don't really, again, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Well, yeah. What's really frustrating is when people do that whataboutism, especially with the Stormtrooper thing. MJ1 kind of makes a point here about him hitting R2D2 and
I was about to show that.
It's like you don't even have to go that far back. It contradicts itself. Yep. So at the end of season 1, right? They're trapped on Navarro, and there's a bunch of stormtroopers. And I think if you watch one of my videos on it, I think there's I ticked 41 stormtroopers off that were on the screen at one time, and that's just that were on the screen. And the stormtroopers were quite a formidable and significant threat in that episode, were they not? To the point where IG had to sacrifice himself, and basically commit suicide in order to save everybody.
Correct.
Right? And then in the next season, they're literally just a fucking joke. Literally, you're just going to land on a ship and go balls to the wall and annihilate everybody, and everybody you come across, you're just going to instantly annihilate. You couldn't do that in the sewers in episode or in season 1. What changed about the stormtroopers in that episode versus the stormtroopers in this episode? Even within the seasons, they're not consistent.
They not only that, but they contradict themselves in the episode with the face
where they shoot all the natives.
That's right. They don't miss a shot. They do not when it's the natives running towards the fence with their sticks. The stormtroopers do not miss. But yeah, when it's our heroes, they miss. But again, we point out that criticism to people and it still seems to be okay. Or we're the ones that are nitpicking, or we're the ones that are just hating for the sake of hating or something. I don't understand that narrative. Again, if I had been saying these criticisms to the sequels, a lot more people would be going, yeah, you're right, Ryan. You're right. You're absolutely right, Rhino. Like, that's what people would be saying. But now it's The Mandalorian. We've got Ahsoka Tano. Yeah, Ahsoka. We've got Luke Skywalker. Yeah, Luke Skywalker. You say these criticisms and it's like, no, you're fucking wrong. You're the one that's, no. You just hate everything that Disney are doing with Star Wars. Just absolutely everything. Yes, of course I fucking hate everything that they're doing with Star Wars because everything that they're doing with Star Wars, including The Mandalorian, is destroying Star Wars. Sorry, Tim, you wanted to say that.
Another example of just within the show itself. Let's pretend you've never seen Star Wars and The Mandalorian is some random space opera show that they came up with. That episode where they're escaping the ocean moon, right?
Yeah.
Why doesn't that Imperial officer just tell his pilots to go to hyperspace from the atmosphere?
Right.
And then
instead of going, well, I guess you're fucked.
Yeah. Because first he says, who cares about
the
Mon Calamari's rules about not firing your thrusters? Let's do it anyway. Yeah. Why not just go to fucking hyperspace? They did in the finale or whatever the hell it was. It was the episode on Python. Yeah. So even within itself, the show isn't consistent.
Mm-hmm.
No, and when you have the bad guys, like, I get that one team of stormtroopers could be marginally better than the other. Right, there'd be some variance, but it's comical, how these are in the episode where they're on Tython, and they land one shuttle or ship full of ground
one
troops
at a time,
and wait for them to die, and then they land the other one, and then they all get slaughtered. These are the troops that are serving on Moff Gideon's ship.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that he would have some of the more competent of
the
all
best of the best
of all of his stormtroopers.
Yeah,
on his own personal cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have the dregs and the joke units and the piss poor performing units protecting his own ship and his own life, right?
I want to break down those fights, I should say, they had, and how bad it looked. That one guy literally stays leaning over, waiting for Boba Fett to put him in a headlock and stuff. It was the worst wrestling match I've ever seen.
Rockets bit, honestly, the knee rockets bit, 2 rockets hit stormtroopers, and all the other stormtroopers that are standing around, about 10 of them, literally pause, look at him, and run the other way. You got fucking blasters. He's got no rockets left in his knee rockets, so fucking okay. Fucking, there's 10 of you against 1 of him. He might have some laser deflecting armor, but it only covers 30 to 40% of his body. You're going to hit him, but no, we can't have that.
Well, also not to mention the fact that Gideon has been established in season 1 as a guy who indiscriminately murders his own crew.
Yep.
Because he's a mustache twirling bad guy. Remember those idiot scout troopers?
Yep.
In the final episodes, oh yeah, he just shot somebody for asking him a question.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they couldn't. That's why they couldn't take Grogu directly into town.
Yeah,
for some fucking dumbass reason.
Exactly what he wanted.
So fucking terrible. But this is a guy is such a mustache twirling asshole. He kills his own dudes. So what do you think happens if you're a stormtrooper? You're sent down to go retrieve something, and you run away like a crying little bitch from a guy who's hitting you with a gaffy stick.
Yeah.
What do you think Gideon's going to do to you when you make it back to the ship, if you make it back to the ship, after you went retreating and didn't shoot your weapon once?
And can I also, have we all just forgotten Obi-Wan's line from A New Hope? Only Imperial stormtroopers can be that precise. Mm-hmm. They are... we always talk about these. That's a throwaway line. It's a one-line setup to say that these are badass motherfuckers that we actually need to be afraid of and be weary of. They're good soldiers. They're trained soldiers.
Yep. I will say,
go on.
Sorry, I will say in Return of the Jedi, which is something that these people are always going to refer to as the teddy bears beating the stormtroopers, right?
Yep. But I also hear them escaping the Death Star in A New Hope. Everyone refers to that and goes, "Man, they could have killed them so many times."
That one's more definitively arguable. I would argue, or I would say that yes, the way that the Ewoks defeated the stormtroopers after the Emperor says an entire legion of his best troops are on the surface waiting for him was bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was not well done. It was a mistake, and it was a real low point in that particular movie, saved only by the epic battle between Luke and Palpatine and Vader in the throne room.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not good Star Wars compared to the other Star Wars we've gotten up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean because you've done it once, you keep repeating a mistake.
Yep.
Like, just because you screwed that up in an official canon and official original trilogy movie and it wasn't good, that doesn't mean you keep repeating it because it happened once. Yep. That's not how canon works.
It's not like that's right. It's not like the creators can sit there and go, well, they did it back then, so we're just going to do it here. No, it doesn't make it okay. It wasn't okay back then, even though it is what it is.
It's the most common criticism of Return of the Jedi is teddy bears beating stormtroopers.
Yeah, that's all you hear.
It's the top criticism of ROTJ, pretty much across the board, right?
Yeah.
It didn't work for a lot of people. Like, I guess if you're really young, it worked for you. And then if you watched it really young, you probably have some nostalgic feelings towards it. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But, like, just because you did it in Return of the Jedi doesn't mean that you have to make every single, like, thing with stormtroopers in the future that thing.
Them being stupid.
Let that be its own individual thing.
Yep.
Where, like, okay, that particular group, or you know what we didn't see off camera helped out, or you know, whatever headcanon it is to try and kind of correct that mistake, because I think that's a legitimate mistake in Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Don't repeat it. Don't keep doubling down on it and making that's the one thing, the canon you're going to stick to.
Yeah,
and be consistent with the original trilogy. That's the hill you're going to die on, is stormtroopers being idiots.
And you're
going to ignore all the other things, but that's the one thing you're going to be like, nope, damn it, it was in the original trilogy, we're sticking to it.
Yep.
Fucking
but the other thing, too, that I hate with that is how the fans use that as a justification for why the stormtroopers were good why it was okay to do what they did with the stormtroopers in The Mandalorian. Anyway.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and unfortunately, you know, Hollywood is the way that it is. Lucasfilm is the way that it is. The Star Wars that we're getting right now, ever since Disney took it over, isn't real Star Wars. And I'm sorry, if you became a fan because of that, well, then you're a fan of something other than Star Wars. It's just got a Star Wars label on it. That's the title of what they've named their new garbage. And it brings me back to not understanding why they would bother spending $4 billion on this franchise to effectively destroy it or create it for their new fans. Like, if you want a Twilight Star Wars, make a fucking Twilight Star Wars. Go and do that. Go get your Reylos, right? But don't turn our story and our canon and our lore into your garbage. Fucking stormtroopers. It brings me back to the fucking joke with them shooting at the can. Like, it was a meme made by the fans because they thought that those things were quite funny, but I'm sure in all of those people's heads, they had a reasonable justification for why it was happening. I mean, fucking Tarkin and Vader have a full-on discussion on, you know, we're taking an awful risk, Tarkin says to Vader. By letting them go, they let them go. That doesn't mean the stormtroopers, they were intentionally cucked by their superiors to let them go. Stupid.
Yes.
Absolutely stupid. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We've been going for nearly 2.5 hours. It's been a good stream. I've enjoyed talking about some of these things that have come up, and I Star Wars, I've said it before, is in my blood. I love Star Wars. I live and breathe and die Star Wars. So at the end of the day, I'm always going to be talking about what they're doing, all the bad things that they're doing to Star Wars. And I will continue reading the expanded universe and giving you bits out of that I'm, enjoying. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to Mara, of course. Go and subscribe to Mara, Jade Shadow. Of course, Lethal dropped in very, very quickly at the beginning there as well. And was that it? That was it. Did we have anyone else?
That was it.
And then we have, of course, Tim, Open Airlock Policy. Thank you again. Thank you for going through those articles with me. Let everyone know where they can find you and what you've got coming.
Yeah, you can find me at the link I'm about to drop in the chat. And I'm working on, again, that long documentary on a really interesting, intellectual, and esoteric topic. So I think you'll really enjoy it. It's going to span many franchises and all that type of stuff. I haven't had anything else come out other than the video on the Dr. Aphra thing with the Dramatis Personae. I did that about a little more than a week ago. So go check that out if you haven't. And I've been getting a lot of praise because I think this was a sleeper, and I think a lot of people are just now finding it. Last night I had Expanded University Live, and people are like, what do we read first? And I'm like, well, I have a video on that. So if you're going to read post Return of the Jedi, that's what I think my most recent Expanded University video is on. Not live stream, but video. And it's quite long, like 15 minutes. And I say, here's what you should read, and it explains why and stuff like that. So go check that video out. And other than that, the spacing tomorrow night with the gentleman who was here earlier, Lethal Lightning, we're going to do an EFAP on some weirdo that says that right-wingers are weaponizing our nostalgia. So that will be fun. So tomorrow night on my channel, and then High Ground Saturday night.
Awesome. So everyone go and subscribe to Tim, Open Airlock Policy, and of course, Jeff.
And watch hours.
Over at the Geek Blend, because we do, of course, the High Ground on Saturday evening or Sunday afternoon. Greg, thank you as per usual for coming by. Greg's been helping me out with this video that I'm working on at the moment. So that's coming, that's getting there. I'm making the adjustments. But thank you for coming by. Is there anything that you want to plug? Let everyone know where they can find you or anything?
Nah, not really.
Not really?
Find me playing Valheim more than anything.
That's what it is. I always call it Valhalla. It's Valheim.
But I'm not streaming it because nah.
Yeah. Well, again,
it's already so it chunks my computer. Thank you, all you cryptocurrency miners who are fucking over PC gamers. Thank you so much for ruining the entire market for video cards. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and they'll never find one. So.
Yeah.
And Tim F asks, is Jeff's computer fixed? I don't know. I didn't even know it was broken, to be honest. I hope it's fixed. But yes, I don't know. If you want to see what Tuscan Bob thinks of The Mandalorian, go to Lost Jedi 22's channel and give those a watch. I think it gives some good insight from Tuscan Bob's perspective.
Yeah, if you're looking for some quick videos on, issues and problems with The Mandalorian Season 2, the Tuscan Bob videos are all under 5 minutes in length. They're really quick to get through.
Yeah,
and they're pretty to the point as far as issues in each particular episode.
Yeah,
a fair amount of detail is in just a screenshot.
It's good. I like his Tuscan Bob videos. So yes, go over to Greg's channel and watch those videos. As for me, just quickly, I just want to thank my patrons. We have Daniel James, we have Lethal Lightning, we have Open Airlock Policy, Tim. We have Lady Tariel. We have My Nerdy Home, Steph, thank you. We have Jeff, the Geek Blend, thank you. And we also have Riff Magos, thank you all very, very much. Everyone for being here in the chat, I really appreciate you. I'm sorry, I know you came in late, Mega Jetty, but it is getting a little bit late for you guys over there, and we have been going for 2.5 hours, and we kind of screwed up the beginning by reading the wrong article for the first half an hour, 40 minutes, but that's all right. Next week, it was. Next week, hopefully we'll have like I'll have this StreamYards thing a bit more set up so I can have a few clips. And, I want to give the people that send super chats a little bit more for their money in regards to having clips prepared for those sorts of things. So I really enjoy that part of this. So thank you all for the super chats, everyone that did send a super chat. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for being here. I got nothing to play us out. Hopefully we'll have something next week. Come and subscribe to my channel. What I've got coming up, or what I did is I've done, there was the Lucasfilm is Doomed video. Go and watch that. That one actually was tracking pretty well. There's also what we discussed tonight, the Katee Sackhoff stuff. So you can watch that video, and I'll be doing more videos like that in the future. And I will also be doing the other High Republic trailers this week. So get ready for those. Everyone, thank you very, very much. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time. Later.